House resumes and debate continues.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
I had told her that she'd be next, even before that.
Yes.
Sorry.
Ladies first, ladies first. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Pleasant good evening to you, Madam Speaker, members of this Honorable House, guests, but more importantly, the people of Dominica, both here and abroad, especially the people of the St. Joseph constituency. Because, Madam Speaker, it is for them that I rise tonight to make my contribution to this debate. I am still rising. Madam Speaker, I have spent some time putting this presentation together, and with your leave, I would like to refer to my notes as I go along. Firstly, I want to make it abundantly clear that contrary to the popular propaganda of the opposition only criticizing negatively and not proposing any ideas, what I'm about to share with you and the rest of this Honorable House is alternative suggestions and recommendations, and to put out obvious areas of opportunities that I noted were left out during the Prime Minister's budget address that will help to achieve the goal of building a more resilient Dominica. Madam Speaker, let me from the...
One moment. The member has permission to be sitting anywhere along there, because when she sits at the back there, the air conditioning is directly over her head. And she asked permission, and I granted her permission. In light of the fact that the member who should be sitting there is not there, I don't have any objection. If any members have objections, right, okay, just clarifying, right? Go ahead, please.
Thank you again, Madam Speaker. Let me, from the onset of my delivery, say that neither I nor any of the other members of the United Workers' Party are against the proposals made to ensure that the minority and vulnerable groups in our society are looked after. On the contrary, Madam Speaker, we are happy that these people continue to be assisted, and whether it be a DLP or a UWP government, government's responsibility is to cater to the needs of the people who elected them. Make no mistake, these monies do not belong to any political party, but to the people of the Commonwealth of Dominica. It is the people's money that continues to facilitate every program run by government. Whether these monies were made through taxes, tourism, agriculture, manufacturing, CBI, or the sale of passports, I remind the people of Dominica, through you, Madam Speaker, that governments should use the available resources of the state to the benefit of the people. And that's what differentiates good governance and failed leadership. When the coffers of the public fail to enrich the public in a tangible way, the government has failed the people. And let's forget the fancy rhetorics uttered in this House and the big numbers quoted. We all know that the people on the ground, notwithstanding 16 years of well put together budget, continue to struggle. And that is why the opposition seats in Parliament increased by 100% from 3 to 6 seats, and will increase by another 100% come next election to 12 seats in this Honorable House. We all know in politics that once a sitting government starts losing grounds, they're losing power. The percentage of the people who are poor and needy needs to be minimized. The DLP's inability to create a thriving and sustainable economy that benefits the average man is obvious reason for the loss of the people's confidence. Poverty alleviation involves the strategic use of tools such as health, education, economic development, and income redistribution to improve the lives of all Dominicans. The government, Madam Speaker, has failed in that respect. There will always have amongst us those whom we have to cater to. But in my mind, Madam Speaker, that number should be decreasing and not increasing year by year. If the government focuses more on job creation, sustainable job creation, I might add. Many of the benefactors of the public support program are of working age. However, they have not been able to secure gainful employment to assist them in taking care of their basic needs like food, shelter, healthcare, sending their children to school, basic bills. Bottom line, Madam Speaker, that is what we all want. And every now and then we take a vacation and go to a SeaWorld. But what everybody wants is to be able to comfortably take care of their families. My question to this honorable House is, how long will we be able to sustain our increasing number of public support benefactors? We need to find ways of having less persons on this program and gainfully employed if we are to build this more resilient Dominica that the Honorable Prime Minister suggests. The public support program should not be an alternative to job creation, but a safety net as suggested to catch those who fall through the loop. Madam Speaker, working for your own money is exciting, liberating. It's freedom, Madam Speaker. There is something really attractive about being able to earn your own livelihood. I'm a farmer. I plant my plantains. I'm a budding huckster. And these are the things that I do. I'm a young entrepreneur. And this is exciting to me, Madam Speaker. I know those on the government side agrees with me, Madam Speaker. And I know, too, that the benefactors of the public support system will agree that they would much rather make their own monies than rely on the government for assistance. And so this is my appeal to you on the government side. Create the way out. Jobs, jobs, and more sustainable, permanent, long-lasting jobs. My wish is that less and less people would fall through the loop, which brings me to my next point, Madam Speaker, the NEP. The National Employment Program. Initially, this was created as a response to the high level of unemployment amongst the youth. But, Madam Speaker, this program, according to the Honorable Prime Minister, has continued and is gaining momentum and has the potential to continue for a very long time. And I have no problems with that. In fact, this goes with my belief of long-term, permanent employment for our young people. However, the flaws that exist has to be addressed, as this program seems to have a lot of lalin, a lot of life, a lot of long-standing ability, Madam Speaker. Therefore, I wish to propose that steps be taken to ensure that the participants or the interns of the NEP be given longer contractual agreements to enable them to make and meet commitments with financial institutions and other outlets such as courts, that they will be able to go, that they would be able to qualify for loans, hire purchase, and credit. That's all I'm asking for, Madam Speaker, on behalf of the NEP interns. An increase in pay of no less than $1,000 a month with Social Security benefits for any intern who exceeds a one-year mark on this program. This is fair. It is fair to ask that. After 6 months, most people become permanent in a job. If there is potential for any intern to exceed 1 year, I believe that this intern should qualify for Social Security. Honorable Calvadaru, the member for the St. Joseph constituency, the minister of ICT. Let me get it. The Honorable Minister for Information, Science, Telecommunications and Technology, Paul Rep. Calvadaru, member for the St. Joseph constituency, tried to mislead the people of this country with a failed attempt at politics last evening. Let me defend this UWP Team Dominica opposition. We in no way seek to take away, remove, delete, stop, obliterate, whatever word you can come up with, any of the existing social programs. This is a political ploy of the DLP to keep the recipients of this program and, Madam Speaker, the Dominican public in ignorance. On the contrary, we seek to suggest improvements and best practices. One should note that when the opposition supports any proposals made by the government, it is referred to as hypocrisy. It is not hypocrisy when I support the NEP. It is not hypocrisy when I support the Yes We Care. It is not hypocrisy when I support the public support program. This is not hypocrisy. All we are asking on this side is that we fix the flaws. We make improvements. We take on best practices. It is our wish that our recommendations can be taken in the light that they're given, and that government will make the necessary improvements and ultimately improve the lives of the average Dominican, if they can, of course, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my recommendation on the salary increase for not only seeks to address the issues existing within the NEP, but also the broader issue of the minimum wage. That, Madam Speaker, needs to be revisited. In the United... I only have 30 minutes, so I'm just running through. In the United Workers' Party social contract with the people in 2014, we recognize how important it is to empower the building block of our society, our youth. And this is my call to the government to facilitate sustainable jobs and business opportunities for the youth across all sectors. We have to make prudent decisions in an effort to reap the rewards in the future. We have to ensure that we put the proper mechanisms in place, starting with the youth, so that when they become elderly, they can retire comfortably after their many years of dedicated service. I say this in response to the government's initiative to increase the allocation to our elderly. This in and of itself is a wonderful idea. It is our responsibility, all of our responsibility, to ensure that we pay attention to continuous improvement in living condition of our senior citizens. And as the 2014 UWP manifesto and reiterated by our political leaders suggests, we should regularly review any allocations issued by government to ensure that they can meet the rising cost of living. But in light of this, I am hoping that as policymakers, we can take the necessary steps now so that the future generation of senior citizens are catered for. In that respect, I hope to see a vigorous movement towards a retirement policy for all Dominicans, because at the end of the day, that is what we are here to do, make legislative decisions, allowing the elderly to retire in comfort and dignity. Let's begin the conversation then. Since these policies and initiatives were not in place before, I agree that our elderly should receive every penny that has been promised to them in this budget and every other budget. As the Shadow Minister for Social Transformation, I was happy to hear the opposition leader opposition leader mention the $400 that I agreed would be a reasonable disbursement to meet the increasing cost of living for the senior citizens. I know how $300 can be $30 in this day and age. But as an opposition member, this is just my humble recommendation. $400, $100 more would not kill us. But we are building a better Dominica, which means that the policy loopholes has to be closed from now. We have to prepare for the years ahead. We have to ensure that our democracy, our economic and social plans are better in order to build a more resilient Dominica. Madam Speaker, briefly, I want to address the Honorable Prime Minister's phrase as quoted, pay up or go up. I want to agree that for all the men out there who father children, that they bear a profound responsibility to care for their child and children. But to the many men out there who are finding it difficult to take up the responsibility but genuinely want to support their children, we know this pay up or go up does not apply or should not apply to them. I want to throw you, Madam Speaker, refer to the UWP Team Dominica Manifesto, page 62. It says, we shall review Maintenance Act and remove the cap at which magistrates may sanction a father or mother to pay maintenance. We will provide for a better system at magistrate court to collect maintenance payments and modernize the system so that the magistrate may also provide for compulsory salary deduction. We will also work with the fathers as well, because we recognize that this is not our traditional method of caring for children, and as a result, we encourage fathers to care for their children, because no amount of court payments and money can take the place of the bonds between a father and a child. I hope that the proposal that was quoted as read can be adopted by the government. We cannot incarcerate human resource because of their inability to shoulder obvious responsibilities. We have to look closely at the choices we make because we are looking to make things better in our society, not worse. Nothing from nothing is nothing. And many men will go up because many won't be able to pay up. We need to go back to the drawing board before we make rash and ultimately detrimental decisions. These young men earnestly looking for jobs and cannot find. And unless we address the issue of job creation, legislating will not solve the problem. I have 30 minutes, Kelva, don't interrupt. Madam Speaker, I was sorely disappointed in the honorable member for the St. Joseph constituency when he made his delivery last evening. After much ado about nothing, repeating what the honorable Prime Minister had already stated in his budget address and throwing political low blows, he ensued to speak in briefly of the constituency that he has so far poorly represented. You have. Through you, Madam Speaker, let me urge the Prime Minister to ensure that he ensures that the honorable member for St. Joseph fall in line with the national mantra of rebuilding a better Dominica post-Erica. I say this because in 2016, a $100,000 bridge was built in the Otrobando catchment of the St. Joseph constituency, and this bridge is non-motorable, not even for an emergency vehicle. If we are rebuilding better, I would have hoped that the new bridge that you build between Shedden and the deceased Mr. Shedden John and the Otrobando Road would be able to accommodate an emergency vehicle at least. We're rebuilding better. Here was a fantastic missed opportunity to rebuild a better St. Joseph, Honorable Palrep. We know of the issues that exist. We know what happens during the carnival season. We know every time the big truck has to go down the road during carnival and Fete St. Joe, it has to call out some number plate of some vehicle that is packed because it cannot pass. You are always on the truck. You hear it all the time. Madam Speaker, there is a parking area right across from that bridge that was built. You should have been visionary enough to see that the vehicles that usually occupy a two-lane street, rendering it one lane, can be packed on that savannah. But that's just me making a recommendation. The residents of the St. Joseph constituency and environs were excitedly looking forward to the jobs that were promised when the abattoir became operational. This project is now shrouded in uncertainty, and it almost feels as if the government wishes to unburden itself with this abattoir. The pork and poultry farmers needed to meet the output of the abattoir are clearly not available. The product from the abattoir is scheduled to be more expensive, and government's motivation towards the local-based market is our consciousness to support local. The problem here isn't about not supporting local. It's about whether or not one can support local. Unfortunately, our society isn't one that has very deep pockets, many of us. We know of the hand-to-mouth conditions that exist for the less fortunate, the poor, the working poor, and the middle class. And it isn't about not wanting to support local. It's about whether or not you are able to support local. Quickly, on behalf of the St. Joseph constituency, I call on the honorable member for the St. Joseph constituency to be reminded of his promises to the people of the St. Joseph constituency. I'm just going to list them out here in Parliament just to remind all of us, including the listening public, of the promises that have been made. Development of the Bells, Mirror and St. Joseph playing field. Improvements to the basketball court at St. Joe to include washroom facility. And I pause to lament the honorable member's inability to speedily upgrade the facility as a young man to attract basketball games to the St. Joseph constituency. We need to have more games being played. All of the games are being reverted to massacre. We need to light the basketball court properly. I'm just saying, I am not in government. All I can do is make recommendations. Resource Center for Bells. Development, no. Stay focused. Development of a playground for St. Joseph, storm drains leading down to the health center. On February 4th, 2016, the honorable member for the St. Joseph constituency, he said that $2 million was approved by cabinet for the boulevard, the Jeff Joe Boulevard. We are waiting. You said that you have the drawings. We are waiting to see the commencement of that work. I hope I get a job. Back in February of this year also, $6.3 million on the BAM was allocated for the car home feeder road. An additional $2 million was allotted for in this budget. So that's $8.3 million. No, this is the same road. Back in 2016, improvement for the refurbishment of the Mero to car home feeder road. Approved.
Madam Speaker, point of order. Point of order. Yes, ma'am.
Point of order.
Yes, correction.
Correct me.
Yeah.
Okay, correct me after. I stand corrected if I'm wrong. I stand corrected if I am wrong, Madam Speaker. I am just repeating. In February
let me correct
2016.
Let me correct.
Uh-huh. Are you explaining?
Well,
Would it
no,
take from
well,
my
wait
time?
a minute.
Would it take
the
from my
way
time?
this thing is done is, there's a point of correction. You wish to hear it or you don't wish
Would
to
it
hear
take
it?
from my time, Madam Speaker?
Well,
I only have 30 minutes, so I'm trying to just wind this down.
well, they can wait until you're done to
Okay,
make the
wait
correction.
until I'm done and then we'll clarify.
Right, okay.
But I stand corrected if I am wrong. Okay? 14.2 kilometers of road, I am looking forward to that. Actually, you know I love farming. I mean, I came from a farming community. I came from a farming family. I am a farmer myself. All of my 8 brothers are farmers. So, of course, anything put towards farming is welcome by me. We're looking forward to that 200,000 to take care of 25 washroom facilities. The $4.5 million water project for Bells and Penrice, I understand that Erica, disturbed our commissioning date, but we look forward to the completion. Community hurricane shelter for Layu. It was in an advanced stage back on May 27, 2014. It's in the budget. Okay, loan from the Caribbean Development Bank. I hope to see that completed in this budget year. Lots of things. Yes, of course. And we welcome everything that happens. Opening of the abattoir in Layu Park, $10 million. We look forward to that. Provision of land for young farmers.
You have 4 minutes
I need a
left.
detailed list.
You have 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Complete rehabilitation of road from Hillsborough Bridge to York Valley at a cost of $30 million. New bridge. Let me see if I need.
Madam Speaker, I wish to ask for 10 minutes more. I move a motion to ask for 10 more minutes for the member.
Give me 5. I'll take 5.
It has been moved and seconded that the member be given a further 5 minutes to complete her contribution. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
5 minutes
Thank you,
to
honorable
complete
members of
your
this House.
Right.
New bridge at Glosho at a cost of $7 million. I'm just reminding the constituents. It's in the I am
Okay,
just reminding,
yes,
not just, it's in the budget and we welcome it. I am reminding the constituents of your promise.
Order, please.
Madam Speaker, the honorable member for St. Joseph had an opportunity to speak last night. He should have pointed out these things are in the budget. Shame. The people don't understand the estimate. The people don't understand it. So this is why I'm saying what Kelvadaro should have said. Sports and housing development. Last but not least, I want to take the opportunity to commend the proprietors of the Surprise Beach Sports Bar and Grill. Honorable Darrow and myself was there. We patronized the bar last Sunday. This beach...
Order.
Madam Speaker, this beachfront property in the village of St. Joseph has brought welcome economic activity to the community. I take the opportunity on behalf of the people of the St. Joseph constituency and the many patrons who flock to the Surprise Beach To ask that under the community empowerment allocation, that provision be made to provide lighting along the Surprise beachfront. This new and exciting initiative, Madam Speaker, should be empowered by the honourable member for the St. Joseph constituency to encourage community tourism and beach expansion. I also take the opportunity to advocate for seat depth indicators, particularly in the area where majority of the activity takes place. It's just a recommendation, honourable member of the St. Joseph constituency. I hope that you can look into this. Okay. I am almost ready to wrap this up, Madam Speaker. In closing, again, I think it is important that we need to energize the growth engines of this economy, agriculture and manufacturing, among others. So in the unlikely event that the citizenship by investment program happens to fall on shaky grounds, we have a backup plan. Economics, Madam Speaker, isn't as complicated as it sounds. It's basic common sense. We must put our resources into areas where we can make the quality of life better for the citizens of this beautiful country, and it starts here today in this budget, which I must reflect that, again, it is all well and good in the interest to help and assist the people of Dominica who needs the assistance, but again, how sustainable? Just as we as adults has our young kids growing up with us, do our kids stay with us forever? Surely there must be a time when they must be assured of a way to fend for themselves in the working world, in the world that exists out of our homes and the safety net there, so they can create their own homes, their own lives, their own families, as we have in the past. We must not rob them of that future. As we have stated time and time again, but others have failed to acknowledge, we, the Opposition United Workers' Party, Team Dominica, have stated in our manifesto dozens upon dozens of proposals and policy initiatives. You guys can take a look at it. I see a lot of this initiative coming on stream. If we take a look at the back page, better days are coming, 5,000 jobs in 3 years, the return of the economic from banana, non-banana agriculture plant, we see that. Reduced VAT on hotel operations, we see that. We don't see the international airport. We don't see the high-speed ferry terminal. State-of-the-art yacht marina in Portsmouth, we haven't seen that. But we do see, Madam Speaker, here, let me see, new state-of-the-art national hospital. We welcome that as well. Okay? We need to create the initial building blocks to build a more resilient Dominica. In the interest of time, I cannot go on to elaborate as of now, but it is my hope that as we continue this debate on the important issues of job creation and sustainable economic growth for the future, that I and the other members will surely go on and continue to raise those ideas we created and brought out in our manifesto. It is our hope that the members on the government side can recognize positive criticism and proposal and allow all ideas to contend so that we can help and work together to build a Dominica that becomes the best place to work, the best place to live, and the best place to enjoy life. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker,
Go ahead.
can I go ahead, please?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to make my contribution to the budget presented by the Prime Minister. Madam Speaker, the vision of the Labour Party administration has been for...
Just one moment. Didn't members wanted to say something after she was finished? After the member for the senator was finished? Did anybody, you all, okay? Nobody wanted. Go ahead then, sorry. You wanted to disturb, you said? Oh, I thought you were saying you wanted to disturb. Okay, go ahead.
No, incidentally,
Minister.
Madam Speaker, I have to start over.
Oh, you
But
do want...
they insist on the clarification.
Yes.
I mean, clearly the senator pointed a number of great things in the budget and so on, but she had one of them misunderstood. The Cajo Road is part of the Salisbury Heights and connects across to Cajo. Okay, this is a long road. The money she mentioned, the larger part of money she mentioned, is part of the banana company measures. And 13 feeder roads will be done across the country. including the Salisbury Heights, right? But they left out, because of the limited funds, to do the entire ring of road, to include the whole of Carhome. A section of the Carhome Road was left out, and that amount totals $2 million. And the government has placed those $2 million in this year's budget. So you will have a completed section of road. I'm not sure whether the senator has been there, but I've been there several times. And it is one of the most productive areas on that whole Carhome, Salisbury Heights section. So this is one of the many positive interventions which the government has included in this year's budget and which we have the resources to implement and so forth. And I'm happy that you pointed out, Madam Speaker, a number of very critical projects in the St. Joseph constituency, all of which have been captured there. And for the correction, Madam Speaker,
just on a point of further correction.
Madam Speaker. Clearly, the Senator, Madam Speaker, has not been to St. Joseph in a while. And then she has not been to the basketball court. But just to say to her, for her own information, that the washrooms have been in place for a very long time now. And the basketball court, and also lights, and also functioning, Madam Speaker. So I think, Madam Speaker, her absence from the constituency has not been helpful to her, Madam Speaker. So I wanted to educate her and to inform her on those very important points, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Glenn, let me thank you for the opportunity to make my contribution on the budget address presented by the Honorable Prime Minister. Madam Speaker, the vision of the Labour Party administration has been for sustainable growth and development, which touches every Dominican, ensuring that everyone is given an opportunity to receive quality education, proper and adequate health care, affordable housing, and to enjoy a standard of living, a decent standard of living, in a secure and a peaceful environment. The Dominica Labour Party, under the distinguished leadership of Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, and as the member for Roseau North rightly said, Doctor, is committed to continue making a difference in the life of every Dominican, irrespective of color, class, or political persuasion. This budget presented by the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, 11 months after the most destructive natural occurrence in our recent past, Madam Speaker, speaks to that commitment and philosophy of the Dominica Labour Party. This budget is being presented, Madam Speaker, at a time when nations around the world are reeling under the negative impacts of globalization, of climate change, and terrorism. Yet, this budget presents every Dominican a sense of hope. Hope that if we work together as a people, we can achieve economic success as we build a more resilient Dominica. Madam Speaker, members of the Honorable House, we must give thanks first of all to Almighty God for the past year. I believe that we did not do it alone. In fact, many thought that the task was insurmountable, but by His grace, we have made it. And in particular, Madam Speaker, I wish to express profound gratitude to the committed public servants who work long nights and days. I wish at this moment to recognize the staff of the Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development, students, teachers, administrators, principals around the island who stood fast in our moment of despair. Madam Speaker, and how can I not mention the beloved people of the La Plaine constituency, that is Delis, Boetica, and La Plaine, who, through challenging times, through their love and concern and encouragement, I was able to make it through, and that is the reason why I'm here today. Madam Speaker, this budget speaks to vision, it speaks to an understanding, and it speaks to a heart of love for people. But Madam Speaker, we heard a frail attempt by the leader of the opposition to respond to the budget presentation. And Madam Speaker, it was simply a blatant attack on the public officials who, to my mind, spent long hours putting figures, facts and figures together. This, Madam Speaker, is not surprising. In fact, I think it is in keeping with the Chief Financial Advisor's thinking, Senator Thompson Fontaine, when he said on Q95 last week, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, when he said on Q95 last week, he accused the public officers, Madam Speaker, of hiding information about government misusing monies given to the country by donors after Tropical Storm Erica and the misuse of the Petro-Carib funds. But, Madam Speaker, I want to ask the Senator, the Dr. Thompson Fontaine, the esteemed doctor, what opportunities has Senator Fontaine created for the young people of Dominica, whom he said were asking him for guns? What opportunities has he created to employ these young people? I want to further ask him, Madam Speaker, what has he done with the land that he acquired while he was treasurer of a certain organization to promote the cultivation of vetiver and goat rearing to engage the young people of Grand Fond? Madam Speaker, the response that we heard, not one credible recommendation was presented in almost 2 hours of ranting by the leader of the opposition. All we heard was excuses. Estimates were received late. Laws governing the functions of the budget cycle are outdated. The leader of the opposition, Madam Speaker, made a mess of the information provided on the CBI program. In fact, Madam Speaker, he could not even differentiate between projected amounts and the amount actually collected. But, Madam Speaker, that is not strange, because when the leader of the opposition stood to respond to the budget, he rose his chest, he bit his chest, and I thought that he was a financial wizard. But in the end, I concluded that he was a financial lizard. Madam Speaker, I take that back. I take that.
Order, please.
I withdraw the statement.
Order, please. I need you to withdraw that.
Madam Speaker, I humbly withdraw the statement. But Madam Speaker, it was evident that not only their leader, but every member on the opposition side did not even spend time reading or listening to the budget presentation. Madam Speaker, I can substantiate that because you will note that not a word on education was put forth by any of them. But Madam Speaker, that is not surprising. Madam Speaker, since the honorable leader of the opposition, the member for Marigot constituency, has no moral authority to speak on behalf of the young people of Dominica. Because, Madam Speaker, this is the self-same man who categorized our young people as prostitutes. His only interest, Madam Speaker, as clearly stated in his response, is in money, money. And that is why, Madam Speaker, you heard him making recommendations that instead of an increase of $100 to $300, the support for the 70 and above should be increased to $400 because, Madam Speaker, I have come to the realization that this is a sure sign of the Judas Iscariot syndrome. Madam Speaker, I listened to Senator Williams. And Madam Speaker, I agree with Senator Monel Williams. First of all, she recognized the honorable member for St. Joseph as a hard-working pal rep. We have been called lazy, we have been called laissez-faire, but honorable member for St. Joseph is a hard-working pal rep. And I agree with Honorable Senator Monel Williams that their numbers in this house will increase 100% because she's actually living in what, Madam Speaker, I consider a crab's paradise. Madam Speaker, let me explain. Not in the real Dominican society, where the United Workers' Party is consistently rejected by the electorate, as happened on the 7th of June in the Soufriere constituency. Madam Speaker, not in the Dominican society, where this evening, like Farrakhan, they spoke of a 1,000-man march. They could not even bring 85 crabs, Madam Speaker. Far more for 1,000 men. Madam Speaker, this is the opposition that Dominica has to live with. An opposition who cannot table one proposal or a counter-proposal to a budget address. Madam Speaker, I wish at this moment to turn my attention to the Ministry of Education. Madam Speaker, following the passage of Tropical Storm Erika on August 27th, 2015, the focus of the Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development has been on recovery and reconstruction and incorporating the Building Back Better concept, Honorable Senator Williams. Madam Speaker, I am happy to report that notwithstanding the damage to our schools by Tropical Storm Erika, all schools were reopened by October 5th, 2015. Arrangements had to be made to provide for the children of the most affected areas, that is Petite Savanne, Pichelin, Coulibistry, Coliho, and the Daly's primary schools. In fact, Madam Speaker, Petite Savanne is temporarily located at the Old Teachers Training College facility at Bath Estate until decisions are made as regards a permanent location. Pishneh Primary is housed at the Grand Bay School. The students of Coolibis Street Primary were bused to Salisbury Primary and operated on a shift system with the Salisbury Primary School, whilst Colliho Primary operated a shift system with Dubla Primary, and the students were also bused from Colliho to Dubla. And in Dalis Primary School, we housed the students and teachers at the Dalis Youth Center. In order, Madam Speaker, to maximize contact time during the 2015-2016 academic year, the two schools that were most affected by delayed opening, the Dominica Grammar School and the Rosa Primary, operated on extended hours, which ran from 8 a.m. to 2:15 p.m. and 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. respectively. Through this medium, Madam Speaker, I wish to thank all our educators, our administrators, staff for their resilience and continued dedication towards the development of our children and our education system. Madam Speaker, the provision of potable water to some of our schools was a challenge, as many of our water sources were either damaged or destroyed. And so the staff of the Ministry of Education operated a distribution system to schools, thereby ensuring that there was a constant supply of drinking water to students and staff at the various schools. In schools where water tanks were available, DOASCO ensured a constant supply of water for sanitation. And Madam Speaker, I wish to register my profound gratitude to UNICEF, DOASCO, the Rotary Club, and the ODM for the donation of water tanks at our various schools. Madam Speaker, at this point, we are outfitting all of our primary schools with water tanks. The job is expected to be completed in time for the new academic year, because we believe water is critical for the functioning of any institution. Madam Speaker, profound gratitude must also be extended to a group of Dominican citizens residing in Barbados, the Barbados Cares, and in particular, Mr. Sorrento, who raised approximately EC $160,000 used for the construction of a kitchenette, covered walkway, and the fencing of the Coolibis Street Primary School. Madam Speaker, if I'm not mistaken, Coolibis Street is in an opposition constituency. Madam Speaker, the DHTA, the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, for the undertaking of the internal repair works, plumbing, electricals, and painting of the Coolibis Street Primary School at a cost of $70,000. Thanks must also be extended to the President Charities Foundation, which also made a donation of some $60,000 for the development of a multi-purpose court for the Coolibis Street Primary School. And Madam Speaker, the Soufriere Primary School was also outfitted with a new roof in a period of 4 days, thanks to the Association de Dominique de la Guadeloupe. The Dalis Primary School, Madam Speaker, was also or is currently undergoing rehabilitative works with funding from Coreca, Guadeloupe, at a cost of $365,126. Madam Speaker, the Caribbean Examination Council, CXC, waived examination fees in the sum of $5,400 for a total of 12 students whose families had lost their jobs and were adversely affected, and they also provided for replacement of certificates which were destroyed as a result of Tropical Storm Erica. Also, the Staff Association of the CARICOM Secretariat, Madam Speaker, made a valuable donation of school supplies, including school bags, to students of selected schools who were affected by the storm. Madam Speaker, the construction of the Newtown Primary School is another achievement that we can speak about. The school is now complete at a cost of $7,022,180.65. This, Madam Speaker, despite what you hear coming from the opposition, is a state-of-the-art 3-story reinforced concrete structure comprising of 14 classrooms, science labs, canteen, computer lab, library, art room, sick bay, and, Honorable Member for the Roseau North constituency, an elevator. It is the only school on island with an elevator to provide for challenged students. And Madam Speaker, students began occupying and staff began occupying the school on January 4th, 2016. To ensure safety and security of the students, Madam Speaker, and staff, the Labour Party government has undertaken the construction of a retaining wall and fencing at a cost of $236,636.65, Honorable Member for Roseau North. Madam Speaker, the school also boasts of a state-of-the-art, fully equipped computer lab donated, Honorable Member for Roseau North, by the Embassy of the People's Republic of China. I am happy to report, Honorable Member, that during the period of April 25, Madam Speaker, to 29, 2016, this state-of-the-art computer lab was used to administer pre-testing exams in preparation for the delivery of online examinations by the Caribbean Examinations Council. Madam Speaker, 9 subjects were piloted at CSEC and the Cape level. And Madam Speaker, by online, we mean online. Madam Speaker, during times of adversity, Madam Speaker, strong leadership is imperative. And the Prime Minister, despite the major economic disruptions and displacements, demonstrated his ability to steer the ship of state, even in the most challenging times. And Madam Speaker, that is what the parliamentary opposition is void of. In September and October of 2015, Madam Speaker, the Labour Party administration delivered on a major promise to our Dominican youth. Madam Speaker, I speak here of the 1 tablet per child project. Madam Speaker, in order to facilitate the successful implementation, as you heard the Honourable Member for St. Joseph speak of, the staff of the Ministries of Education and Information, Science and Telecommunications and Technology worked collaboratively for the execution of this initiative. In that regard, Madam Speaker, 7,653 laptops were distributed to all secondary school students. 203 were distributed to secondary school teachers, and 1,800 to students of the Dominica State College and 30 to State College staff. Madam Speaker, let me say that this is a great achievement for us in the Ministry of Education because it has revolutionized the teaching, learning experience of every child in Dominica. And today, not just a select privileged few can have a tablet, but every child in Penville, Bedica, and Scotshead now has a tablet. Madam Speaker, during the last year, despite our challenges, routine maintenance work was undertaken in a number of our schools, valued at a cost of EC $1,381,117.37. This year, Madam Speaker, this new year, a number of schools from Grand Fond in the southeast to Dodan in the north will be repaired under our maintenance program. Madam Speaker, while we are at that, let me also inform that if you follow closely in the capital estimates, you will realize that allocations have been made for works to commence on the Calibishi Primary School. This is a school that is in dire need of massive upgrade. We will work on designs for the Calibishi Primary School, our DPS, that is the Roosevelt Douglas Primary School, to the tune of $890,000. We will also commence design works for the Goodwill Secondary School and member for the Roseau North constituency. This is not a Labour seat. The Thibault Primary School, Madam Speaker, and again, Thibault is one of the schools, I must admit, that because of the goodness of the Honorable Prime Minister, that over the years he has postponed and deferred and put back the construction of the Thibault Primary School to the extent that we did Saint-Sauveur, we did Newtown. So I'm happy to announce to the residents of Thibault that come this year, works will commence on the Thibault Primary School, and we have $1.5 million allocated to that project. The Sineku Primary School in the Kalinago territory, a classroom block extension, $100,000. And importantly, Madam Speaker, the Dominica Grammar School. Yes, member for Roseau Central, the Dominica Grammar School, we have some $2.5 million for construction of the classroom block. Madam Speaker, let me say that this administration, like no other in the history of Dominica, without any fear of contradiction, can be termed as the education government. Madam Speaker, we attend to education from early childhood, from the cradle to university to the grave. Madam Speaker, in keeping with the mission of the Ministry of Education, we seek to educate and prepare all students to live productive lives in a complex and changing society. And Madam Speaker, that is why I believe that Dominicans must take advantage of the opportunities that are afforded them to early childhood, primary, secondary, tertiary. Madam Speaker, and those of us in the House, we must take advantage of educational opportunities afforded to us. The State College is open for all and sundry, including politicians. Madam Speaker, significant investments have been made within the early childhood sector through the procurement and provision of teaching materials and equipment for distribution to our various early childhood centers around the island. Madam Speaker, I heard one member who dealt with the issue of youth development and skill. But Madam Speaker, as we seek to improve our human capital, Senator Thomas. Madam Speaker, through education and training to give youth more opportunities to earn a living, the Ministry of Education has sought to expand technical, vocational education and training. Honorable Senator TVET. In addition to skill development, an important component of TVET is certification. Madam Speaker, through the Caribbean Vocational Qualification CVQ system, which is currently being implemented by the Ministry of Education. Madam Speaker, sometimes I wonder, where does the opposition reside? Could it be that somewhere they're in outer space and don't know what is happening in Dominica? We're talking consistently of TVET and CVQs. Madam Speaker, I am happy to report that coming out of the CVQ pilot program at the Dominica Grammar School, the Goodwill Secondary School, and the Northeast Comprehensive High School. And Madam Speaker, note, all of these schools are located in constituencies held by the Dominica United Workers' Party opposition. They are opposition seats. Madam Speaker, I repeat that I am happy to report that coming out of the CVQ pilot program at the Dominica Grammar School, the Goodwill Secondary School, and the Northeast Comprehensive School, this year, 28 of our students have completed final assessment at the Caribbean Vocational Qualification CVQ Level 1 in 3 areas, namely food preparation, garment production, and crop production, respectively. And crop production, Honorable Member for the Wesley constituency, is really agriculture. Madam Speaker, with the addition of 2 CNC turning machines, 1 automobile gas tester, and 1 diesel smoke tester donated by the government of Japan under the Japan's non-project grant aid for provision of industrial products, the Dominica Grammar School is now positioned to deliver auto mechanics from September 2016. Madam Speaker, this is an achievement that we can be proud of. In fact, Madam Speaker, the photos were sent to me, and the 2 consultants from Japan said to me, Mr. Minister, you now have a repair shop that can do what none of your auto body shops in Dominica can do. Madam Speaker, this came at a cost of US $2.6 million. Ideally, Madam Speaker, what we want, just as the Builders and Contractors Association has now recognized the need for CVQs, we want the tradesmen who are out there to maximize on these opportunities, take advantage so that schools like Dominica Grammar School, Goodwill Secondary, and Northeast can become state-of-the-art learning centers that do not close their doors. And this is our mission within the Ministry of Education at 2 o'clock, but that they can continue offering opportunities for the workforce, because we require retooling and retraining of our workforce. Madam Speaker, the youth can now look to the future opposition with optimism. We are well on our way to achieving economic growth through the development and encouragement, Madam Minister, of entrepreneurship. With a level 1 CVQ, our young people are now in the enviable position of being able to own their own business much earlier than you and I were able to. Madam Speaker, as we look to the future, the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, Honorable Minister for Health, will implement the school vision project during the first 6 months of the new school year. Under this initiative, Madam Speaker, all students within the education system will be screened for vision impairment, and necessary action will be taken based on the results of the screening. And Madam Speaker, I will venture to say that once a child is identified as needing spectacles, the state will provide that child with a pair of spectacles, because many of our children are not doing well, not because they are not smart, but because they have sight problems that have not been identified. So this is a sterling project that will be undertaken in collaboration with the Ministry of Health. Madam Speaker, I should advise that all the necessary groundwork has been undertaken to ensure its successful execution, and the schools have been visited and the requisite approvals have already been obtained from the parents. Madam Speaker, during the next academic year, 2016-2017, the Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development will focus on the strategic imperatives with a view to improve the teaching and learning at our schools. Firstly, Madam Speaker, we will improve achievement in literacy and numeracy. We will seek to improve achievement in the area of technology. We will seek also to increase student performance in all exit examinations, increase access to quality early childhood development and capacity building. We will continue the implementation of CVQs in all our schools, improve the quality and accountability of leadership and management at our schools. Because significantly, Madam Speaker, we have an issue with some of our school administrators. We will also improve teachers' professional development, improve the quality of teaching and learning, and strengthen learners' pastoral care, because we believe this is fundamental to student development. Madam Speaker, we have made some gains in literacy at our schools. However, I believe that as we seek to build on those gains, that the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the OECS, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean State Commission, will implement the Early Learners Childhood Program with funds from USAID. The goal of the OECS Early Learners Program is to improve the reading skills of children in the early primary grades. Madam Speaker, this early intervention will provide a foundation for improved learning outcomes and enhanced opportunities for students, so that when our students leave primary school or high school, they do not have the difficulties which sometimes cause one to plagiarize rather than be original and creative, Madam Speaker. And as we continue to improve on our school plans, Madam Speaker, we have been assured of the continued construction, as I said earlier, of the Dominica Grammar School, and in the new fiscal year, construction will begin on the new classroom block at the Dominica Grammar School, comprising a 3-story concrete structure housing 13 classrooms with washroom facilities and basement. This new facility will provide a conducive teaching and learning environment for teachers and children of the Dominica Grammar School, which incidentally is located in the Roseau Central constituency. Madam Speaker, as it relates to a library and information service, this service continues to engender a culture of reading among our nation. Accordingly, the unit continued its focus on information dissemination, creating and strengthening reading habits in children, supporting individual and self-conducted learning, stimulating the imagination and creativity of our children and young people, promoting awareness of our documentary heritage, and facilitating the development of information and computer literacy skills with programs and activities geared towards these goals. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I come to a very critical area, and that is our scholarship program. The government of Dominica, the Labour Party administration, continues to receive offers of scholarships annually from friendly governments, government of the People's Republic of China, Russia, the Republic of Cuba, and organizations like the Organization of American States, the OAS, the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission for scholarships in United Kingdom, in New Zealand, and of course the Kingdom of Morocco. The government also receives offers for short-term training courses for periods of 2 to 6 weeks from the Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation, ITEC, and the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. Madam Speaker, or Mr. Speaker, in addition to the issuance of these scholarships for the financial year 2015-2016, 195 persons were awarded scholarships by the government of Dominica, whilst 199 individuals received assistance to pursue tertiary education locally, regionally, and internationally. The total amount expended on training for the fiscal year amounted to $7,859,255. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, we will recognize that, of course, this is one of the fundamental reasons why the opposition could not, with a stick 1 mile long, touch the issue of education, because education is a hallmark of this administration. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, oftentimes the investments that this administration makes in education is somewhat taken for granted. The public takes it for granted, and sometimes, sadly, even the individuals who benefit from these awards, they take it for granted. Mr. Speaker, a few years ago, and you heard one of the members address that issue, of course, in a distorted manner. A few years ago, we set ourselves the goal of achieving a target of 1 university graduate per household. Now, having created the awareness among our Dominican people, the Dominica Labour Party ensured that a robust system of financial aid was put in place to address provide support for our nationals. And Mr. Speaker, that is why the Dominica State College has been expanded, equipped, and staffed to provide access to all high school leavers. And Mr. Speaker, so we have created access for all high school leavers, 100% access. But the reality is, not every graduate from the high school is interested in attending the State College. And of course, members, you well recognize that among those of us here, there are some who were never interested in going to the State College, did not even complete high school. That is why we expanded and equipped the high school, and we staffed. And as of July 2016, the Dominica State College has an enrollment of 1,743 young Dominicans. And this year, we expect massive intakes by the college. But, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, there is one issue that I want to clarify. Because I said earlier that most people take for granted the investment that government makes into their education. Mr. Speaker, a number of our Dominican students attend universities in North America, in Europe, and of course the University of the West Indies, and of course importantly some of them remain here and they do their online programs or they attend UE. But Mr. Speaker, I looked at some data and I found out that Midwestern State University, a very popular university for many Dominicans, the tuition, Mr. Speaker, for 1 year at Midwestern State University is US $21,687. That's US, an equivalent of $65,061 US for a 3-year program. That equates to $58,771.77 for 1 year EC dollars. And for a 3-year period, a massive investment of $176,315.31. So when this lady from Grand Bay, single mother, wants to send her first daughter to Midwestern State University for a course that has a duration of 3 years, she has to find, Mr. Speaker, I think you happen to be from Granby, she has to find $176,315.31. Now, Senator Monell, tell me, that is where we see visionary leadership. So while you believe, and the opposition believes, that, yeah, things are hard, we have a government who now steps in and says to that single parent in Grand Bay, we shall take care of your financial woes. But that is not all, Senator, Mr. Speaker, Senator Williams. Grambling State University, annually, US $22,684. That is an equivalent of $61,473.64. And for a 3-year course, Mr. Speaker, for 1 year, 51,000, of 3 years, US $51,039. Is the equivalent $184,420.92. Now, for most of us Dominicans, we could work our lifetime and we won't have such a saving at the bank. And that is the stark reality, Senator Williams. But Mr. Speaker, the Labour Party government recognizes that if our country is to develop economically, education has to be the main pillar. And that is why we have forged agreements with universities, and the government of the Dominica Labour Party pays that amount of money for our Dominican children, red, yellow, blue, black, or white. Mr. Speaker, I want to say to us that this is a government who cares. This is a government that understands the plight of the Kalinago people. We understand the plight of this young man in Wetica and this young man in Penville and over in Point Michel. We understand the sufferings of the people of Cottage, and that is why the Prime Minister has continually articulated that our social programs shall never be shortchanged. Mr. Speaker, I want to deal now with some of our safety net programs that we have within the ministry. First of all, we have a number of safety net programs that are being implemented with financial management under the Education Trust Fund, administered by a board. And Madam Speaker, we have, first of all, the school transfer grant. So Senator Monell, when your daughter passes the exams, Madam Speaker, we give a transition grant or transfer grant of $500 per child. And Madam Speaker, 790 students were approved to receive the grant, totaling $395,000. In addition to that, Madam Speaker, during the period under review, we paid CXC examination fees amounting to EC $19,683.70. That was approved for 81 students at the fifth form level who had to do their CSEC exams and were not in a position, the parents were not in a position to finance it. The Labour Party administration makes provision, and this did not happen before. It only happened under the Dominica Labour Party. Uniform assistance, Madam Speaker, an amount of $199,058.32 was expended on uniform allowance for secondary and primary students. Madam Speaker, because we recognize that we live in challenging times. We recognize that we have leaders who are telling people, no money in your pocket, no food on your table, sit by the road, do nothing, beg for guns, and get rid of certain groups of people in the society. But Madam Speaker, as a responsible administration, we say to these people, if you go halfway, we will carry you all the way. Madam Speaker, we provide uniforms, we provide shoes, we provide school bags, we provide basically everything that that child needs once he's not able. And Madam Speaker, we also provide registration fees. We had applications for 123 students from 9 secondary schools that were approved in the last year for registration fees amounting to $36,615. Some people have challenges paying their registration fees. And importantly, Madam Speaker, this is the one that they cannot stomach, the transportation system. Madam Speaker, during the period under review, an amount of $1,867,402.90 was paid to 110 bus owners from different areas of the island for transportation of our students to various primary and secondary schools and the state college. Madam Speaker, we transport on a daily basis 2,323 students around Dominica. Madam Speaker, let me say that in addition to that, the government owns and operates 7 coaster transports or buses transporting 400 students to various secondary schools. And these are managed at the local level by the village councils. Madam Speaker, I want to make a point here. Because when people are saying that this government is not creating employment, I want to categorically debunk that theory. Because, Madam Speaker, 110 privately owned buses, and every bus driver is issued a contract at the commencement of the school year. In fact, he can go to the bank and get a new bus. And you know, in time past, Madam Speaker, Senator Williams, you remember when your mother had to try to pay a bus to get you to ITSS? So she had to say, please, sir, can you trust me next month? And if she could not pay, the next month you would have been left down. But today, we are engaging these bus drivers. They're singing the praises because they are sure that at the end of the month, they get their monies. That is generating employment. These 110 bus drivers who would have had to go to Melville Airport to see if they could get a visitor coming to Dominica. But today, through our efforts, we are engaging them. And by the way, we have blue bus drivers, red buses, blue buses, green buses, all color buses transporting all color children around Dominica. Madam Speaker, Additionally, the Education Trust Fund provided transportation allowance for 85 students, and this amounted to $14,360 because we have some students who are not covered because of the distance by our regular transport system, and so they can benefit from a transportation allowance. Madam Speaker, and of course we have the scholars as well. And Madam Speaker, importantly, we have the school textbook scheme, and the Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darry would be happy to hear of this one. The school textbook scheme, which operates in all primary schools from grade K to 6 in the core curriculum subject areas of social studies, science, language, arts, and mathematics. Every Dominican child from K to 6 is given the textbooks free of cost. They just put a small deposit, and most of them don't pay it anyhow. And at the secondary level, we provide textbooks, a maximum of 250 or 300 to children. At the secondary level, of course, it has to be a credible a system. We provide textbooks for them once they are not able, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, under the United Workers' Party, UWP, I want to say that our students, because I was a teacher from 1980 to 2004. And Madam Speaker, before that, I was a student. I remember the pains that I went through living at somebody's home in Roseau, to the extent that I vowed that I would never sleep one night in Roseau after I left high school because of misery. I could hold that slice of dashing. And, well, Senator Thompson Fountain is not there. I mean, we were at school together. We attended SMA, and he knows the troubles that I went through. I had to drop out from high school my last semester at school for 3 weeks because I did not have a place to live. That is what the Labour Party understands. And thank God somebody took me into his home. Madam Speaker, under the United Workers' Party, our children, they languished waiting for transportation on the side of road, bombing a ride, a van loaded with bananas, bombing a ride to get to school. When we came into office, our Prime Minister, a visionary leader, understands the plight of the Dominican people. He said, this is not right. We must change it. And we brought into operation a bus transportation system where our children get up in the morning, they sit on the bus, they have their cell phones, they have their tablets, they ride into Roseau and Portsmouth and St. Joseph, and in the afternoon they get back on the bus, and thank God they are home free and safe. Yes. That is what we did not have. Or else, Senator, you might not have been here today. That is why, Madam Speaker, Senator Thompson Fountain was able to make it to the IMF. But I'll tell you this, if he had had this support system today, I assure you, he might have been the biggest doctor still operating in the IMF. Madam Speaker, today, I just want to just show you the kind of savings that we have generated for Dominicans. Madam Speaker, let's take a single mother in Wesley. Where's the member for Wesley? Maybe checking the number of crabs that came down the link road.
Your time is actually up.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I move that the Honorable Minister of Education gets additional 20 minutes to complete his speech.
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the Minister gets a further 20 minutes to complete his presentation. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Please continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, my fellow parliamentary colleagues. Madam Speaker, let me say to us, I'm going to just create two scenarios here. Let's take a single mother from Wesley with 2 children. And I want you to listen to that, members of the opposition, Madam Speaker. Two individuals, single mother in Wesley with 2 children, single mother in La Plaine with 2 children. One child is in first form, just past the common entrance, grade 6 national assessment, and the other is a 5th former, just moved to 5th form. Madam Speaker, these 2 parents, let's take Wesley first. Madam Speaker, here it is, this mother in Wesley. Her child gets a transfer grant of $500, and please take notes and use your calculator if you can't work that out. he or she gets a uniform assistance for both children, a total amount of $200 per child. So 200 times 2 gives us $400. Textbook up to $300 for each child, $600. Examination fees for that fifth former, we won't pay all, we'll give a maximum of $350. We are creating a scenario here, but I'm using real figures. And transportation to go to school every day. They are being transported. It would cost $80 to that mother per child per month. So that's 80 times 2. That's 160. 10 school months for the year. That would give us $1,600. So the total investment, the total amount that parent would have spent would be $2,850. So it means that the state provides this. My dear Senator, Madam Speaker, so the state actually causes that mother to save. So we invest $285 every month in this family. $2,850 a year. And all they have to say is, let me have it. They don't even have to say thank you. Let me have it. Let's take La Plaine, which is further, because the children from La Plaine go to school in Roseau. Transfer grant, $500. Uniforms for 2 children, 200 times 2, that's 400. Textbooks, 300 times 2, 600. Examinations fee, 350. And transportation from La Plaine is $180 every month that a parent would pay. 2 children, we multiply that by 2. My maths is not too good. Multiply by 10, that gives us $3,600 for the school year. A total investment by the state of $5,450. An average, in fact, a savings of $545 per month that the Labour Party administration gives to a mother with 2 children in La Plaine. And all she has to do is accept it. She does not even have to say thank you. This is a government that cares, Madam Speaker. So how can our opposition tell me that the government, the Labour Party, no food on your table and no money in your pocket? We take care of the needs of our people. And Madam Speaker, I could tell you of the school feeding program that we have. It's operational in 37 schools, and including 2 secondary schools. We feed 200 children on a daily basis, giving them a nutritious meal. Madam Speaker, let me say that we are looking at a comprehensive nutrition policy in the new school year. Madam Speaker, let me quickly run to my constituency. Madam Speaker, the destruction that was caused by Tropical Storm Erica negatively impacted every community in Dominica. This, Madam Speaker, we all agree, was the most catastrophic event in our recent memory. And the La Plaine constituency was one of the worst affected areas in Dominica. Madam Speaker, while I sympathize and empathize with the people of Dubique and Pidit Savan, for a period of 21 weeks, Madam Speaker, the residents of Boetica and Dalis remain totally cut off from the rest of Dominica as a result of the washing away of the bridge and the section of the road and the adjacent cliff at the Boetica Gorge. This was for us one of the most challenging periods in our history, Madam Speaker, since the La Plaine land tax riot. This resulted in tremendous loss of income for my constituents. With the onslaught, coupled with the onslaught of black sigatoka that had totally wiped out the plantain crop in La Plaine, Dalis, and Boetica. Madam Speaker, the emergence of the giant-scale insect in the northern, northwestern, and western sections of La Plaine totally wiped out every conceivable crop from nani, Madam Speaker, mint, to dashings and bananas. And then, Madam Speaker, as if that was not enough, when production had been brought to zero, Madam Speaker, the loss of the bay oil industry, Madam Speaker, and then, Madam Speaker, we had to deal with a death blow to our economic well-being in the Lapland constituency when Jungle Bay resorts and spas, as a result of the destruction suffered by Tropical Storm Erica, had to relocate to the Soufriere constituency. Madam Speaker, Jungle Bay served as an outlet for farmers selling all sorts of vegetables and ground provisions. Madam Speaker, not only that, but no less than 50 people from Lapland, Dalis, and Boudica were engaged at Jungle Bay and, of course, Petit Savant. Well, I speak here of Dalis, Boudica, and Lapland. But, Madam Speaker, while it is true that our neighbors in Petit Savant, Dr. Daru, and Dubic had to be relocated, no one will ever be able to totally account for the economic loss that Lapland, Dalis, and Boudica suffered as a result of the loss caused by Tropical Storm Erica and more so Jungle Bay. Madam Speaker, while the picture that I just painted appears to be one of, utter helplessness, I am pleased to report that my constituents have been ably and willingly supported by the Labour Party government. Madam Speaker, I speak here of financial support to farmers and small business owners. I speak here of direct support to all persons 70 years and above with no income. I speak here, Madam Speaker, of construction of a bypass road in the La Roche Victoria area, because even as I speak, there is still a gorge that is yet to be addressed. Madam Speaker, I speak here of the construction of the Ghetto Plaisance or Lower Plaisance Road in La Plaine. We have not been neglected by the government. We are not alone. We have a caring government. Madam Speaker, I speak of the issuance of contracts of up to $60,000 for the lighting of the Lapland playing field, Madam Speaker. I speak of direct support to farmers in the form of agricultural inputs, the construction of a bridge crossing at the famous Boudica Gorge, Madam Speaker. I speak, Madam Speaker, of installation for the first time in the history of the Southeast of solar lights at the Boudica Bridge. Madam Speaker, I speak of construction of slipper drains to the entire roadway in Casgori and Lower Balisier. Madam Speaker, I speak of the complete renovation, rehabilitation of the Dalis Primary School, costing roughly $365,000. Provision of a brand new sit-in mower for the Lapland playing field, and it is now at the Lapland playing field. The rehabilitation works to the White River Bridge, where we have put down metal plates, Honorable Minister for Public Works. We have put metal sheeting on the bridge to allow for vehicular traffic so that the residents across at Point Mulat can now drive to their homes. And Madam Speaker, this was a real problem for me, but thank God it has been addressed. And Madam Speaker, as we speak, contracts are being prepared by the Dalis Village Council for signing by 5 local contractors for the construction of 27 washroom facilities in Dalis. Madam Speaker, upon completion of this project, every home, and I repeat, every home in Dalis proper, whether they are blue, black, or white, or red, shall have a modern washroom facility. In time, we will address La Roche, Victoria, Boudica, Laron, Casgori, and La Plaine. It is a mammoth task, but I have every assurance that when the Prime Minister speaks and he promises, he lives up to his word. And Madam Speaker, additionally, the Village Council has engaged a contractor for the rehabilitation of the upper section of the Belvedere Farm Access Road. Madam Speaker, about 7 years ago, we did the Belvedere Farm Access Road. But during Tropical Storm Erica, the roadway was compromised. What we are now doing is creating access through another area that is close to the home of the former parliamentary representative, and we are going to concrete this. A contract of $80,000 will be awarded to a gentleman for that project, and the money is with the village council. And Madam Speaker, how can I not speak of the National Employment Project? Madam Speaker, in my constituency, they called it the never-ending poverty. But if this is never-ending poverty, then I ask the good Lord, send more never-ending poverty to the constituency of La Plaine. Madam Speaker, when one drives into La Plaine, people now refer to my section of the road driving up to the police station and the school as a runway, Madam Speaker. They do an exceptional job. One drives to Buetica, Madam Speaker, and Delis. Madam Speaker, I have a group of ladies who are now producing uniforms for the children of La Plaine, Delis, Buetica, and Grandfort, Madam Speaker. Are you telling me, honorable members of the opposition, that is poverty? If that is poverty, then send more poverty on the La Plaine constituency. Madam Speaker, I have a young lady who studied in Cuba. We sent her to study in Cuba. She came back and she did not have a job. And we engaged her with Dr. Ricketts, and thank God reports are saying she's doing so well that pretty soon, under the NEP, she might open her own practice. And she's an eye specialist, and I think some of you need to go to her so you can see properly what is happening in Dominica. Madam Speaker, as it relates to the Madam Speaker, as I end, let me say, as it relates to the rehabilitation work on the Bois-Diab Point Mulat Road, let me give the constituents of La Plaine, Delis, Buetica, and Comrade Ivor Stevenson, the Southeast, Grandfort, Munch, and Rivière Civic, and Grandfort, Munch, Civic, and Rosalie, the assurance, and most of the constituents of La Plaine, Delis, and Buetica, that while a contract was awarded prior to the passage of Tropical Storm Erica for the rehabilitation of the Bois-Diab Point Mulat Road, please understand, constituents, that the roadway was further compromised by Tropical Storm Erica. Therefore, we require engineering assessments. Since the river defense must be constructed, the river has to be retrained, the cliffs must be stabilized, and so that will incur additional costs. I also want to inform that this road will be done. It shall be done. And when the road from Bois-Diab to Point Mulat is completed, excuse me, members from the north, the west, and the south, this will be one of the premier highways on the island of Dominica. But I want my constituents to exercise patience and restraint. I should also inform that contracts have been issued for the restoration of 5 culvert crossings in Buetica, all to local contractors, and works shall commence soon. Finally, Madam Speaker, I wish to call on my constituents to take advantage of what is happening in Dominica today. We will replace the Taberry Bridge, we will replace the Laron Bridge, the Buetica Bridge, and the White River Bridge. Of course, I recognize that the Victoria, LaRoche Victoria box culvert crossing has not yet been done. The monies have been allocated. It will be done. We have a few hiccups, but it will be done because the monies have been allocated. So I call on my constituents in LaRoche and Victoria, exercise a little patience. Your culvert bridge crossing, box culvert bridge crossing is coming. Madam Speaker, let me call on my constituents to take advantage of the measures in this year's budget. I speak of the $10 million for agriculture. Get into livestock production, expand your farms, the abattoir. And Madam Speaker, I want to express thanks to the Honorable Prime Minister for the increase from $300 to $400 to the people above 70. And I want to sound a warning to my constituents who are 70 and above, who receive the $400 or $300 and shall receive, are receiving $200 and shall receive $300. for the life of me and for the sake of Almighty God, when people find themselves in indebtedness, do not use that money to set them free. Because these are the people who called you greedy and looked at my 94-year-old people in the constituency, looked at a lady in Balisier who is 104. And I have, in fact, we have the most centenarians. I have 2 of them who are 102. I have another who is 103. And there's another who is 100. And, Madam Speaker, looked at these 100-year-olds, called them greedy, and then turned around after all and had these old elderly people give them their $200 to pay legal bills. Please, for the life of me and for the sake of God and Dominica, please, constituents, don't do that. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Trade and Employment, I want to thank them for the transformation, as I close, that the NEP has brought in my constituency. The Ministry of Housing, that today, when a grain laply falls, a shower of rain, Madam Speaker, is approaching, I do not have all of the problems that I had before. I had a multitude of people calling me, or when I go to their homes, teacher, depuis mon temps non gwen la pli mon père, because cabane moi ke mouye. They say to me, teacher, once I hear a shower, I'm scared because my bed will wet. Thanks to the goodness of the Dominica Labour Party, the understanding heart of Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit and the Minister for Housing, Honorable Reggie Ostry, who understands the plight of the poor people of Dominica. Half of my problems are over, but I expect, Honorable Member, that in due time you shall take care of all of my housing problems. Madam Speaker, having said this, do I have a choice? I have no choice, Madam Speaker. Dominica, my constituents, but to support wholeheartedly all the measures contained in this budget.
Madam Speaker, please permit me to refer to my notes. Madam Speaker, I first want to say good evening to my constituents who I know have been anxiously waiting for me to speak tonight. Madam Speaker, I give my unwavering support to the 2016-2017 budget, as having had Dominica destroyed by Tropical Storm Erica, it is only by the grace of God, prayer warriors, strong and wise leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit, that we are standing firm today as if only touched by a drizzle. Madam Speaker, leadership isn't something we can take for granted. Madam Speaker, after we heard the leader of the opposition yesterday on his lazy rebuttal, where is he tonight? He's busy loitering the streets and wasting people's time. It is one thing to talk, but it is quite another thing to have the foresight and fortitude to lead, to manage a fragile economy like Dominica, so prone to natural disasters. Madam Speaker, I recall New Orleans, years after Hurricane Katrina, still is not totally recovered. And there are people, Madam Speaker, who are either forced into poverty. But here in Dominica, our government has ensured the safety and security of displaced citizens. Moreover, they are being resettled in fully equipped communities. So unlike the situation in New Orleans where people were forced into poverty or never recovered, displaced citizens are made better off post-Erica. So, Madam Speaker, I stand before you representing my people who are very proud of the Honorable Prime Minister and their hard-working Labour Party government. I am proud of a government who shows true compassion to the most vulnerable among us. And despite our challenges and the fact that development assistance isn't as forthcoming as before, we continue to maintain every social program. Madam Speaker, this is a government who cares. And the care is unquestionable, from the Prime Minister down to every Minister of Government, especially those whose constituencies were affected by Tropical Storm Erica. We saw their courage and the compassion they showed to their people who were affected by the storm. Madam Speaker, I must commend all Dominicans who rallied together in spite of party to help us get over the drastic situation caused by Tropical Storm Erica. Madam Speaker, the most disturbing and disappointing fact after the storm is that the opposition appeared for a mere moment to have a sense of nationalism. But not surprisingly, it was just a passing cloud. They quickly returned to their divisive tactics. Madam Speaker, you would think for men who so eloquently boast of their ability to speak and can find every opportunity to slander the good name of Dominica, create and disseminate false information about our Prime Minister, other ministers, and our country, yet could not raise $1 to assist in rebuilding a country they claim to love. But they were able to raise funds post-Erica in less than 24 hours. Were any of these funds used to improve the lives of the people of Jubic or Petit Savan? But the leader of the opposition says that people are suffering in Dominica. Yet, Madam Speaker, it is the same suffering people he begs to come to his aid. Madam Speaker, I say to the opposition, bravo, well done. Their efforts post-Tropical Storm Erica shall be well recorded, so future generations will read about the failed opposition that has served us over the last 16 years. Madam Speaker, this is why the people of the Soufriere constituency, the people who I so humbly serve, sent a crushing message to the opposition in the last by-election. Stay out! A total rejection of their rum shop, gutter-style, lazy, and slander-oriented campaign.
Just 1 minute. I need you to just remove gutter style first.
Okay.
And
withdrawn, Madam Speaker.
Withdraw it.
Madam Speaker, my people are focused on building a more vibrant constituency. So, Madam Speaker, in spite of the destruction caused by Tropical Storm Erica and the destructive gimmicks of some, this government continues to work diligently and responsibly to ensure that we build a more buoyant economy. Madam Speaker, right in my own constituency, especially because of our ravines in Point Michel, Soufriere, and Scott said, we received our share of Erica. But due to the swift action of the former Minister of Public Works and good workmanship, we were able to clean up, unblock the roads, and restore access to communities which were cut off quickly. Madam Speaker, I know that my people who live near the ravines are still fearful. but I want them to rest assured that provisions have been made under this budget and we shall address their concerns. Madam Speaker, the Soufriere constituency continues to progress steadily under this Labour administration in all aspects. Our government's education policy to ensure that no child is left behind has benefited my people tremendously. And during my walkthrough, I listened to stories of people who could not afford to send their children to school, buy textbooks, uniforms, or even exercise books. One lady told me how she would buy exercise books and separate them in parts so she could give each child a piece to go to school. Today, Madam Speaker, we have transportation, school transfer grants, tuition assistance, fully equipped school bags, uniforms, and numerous scholarships so our children can realize their dreams. Just the other day, I received a note from a constituent who thought his dream of attending a university was far-fetched, but is now doing an internship at a top marine institute in the US. A few weeks ago, I had to remind some young people who want to attend the state college that it wasn't long ago that only 100 students could go to the state college. Or without land papers, one could not get a loan to go to university. But today, everyone who has the desire to attend college can. I want to thank the Minister of Education and his staff in advance for the continuing support in education to my constituents, both who are studying locally and abroad. Madam Speaker, this Labour administration shall never be forgotten for removing all hindrances to educational advancement, so the least among us will not be the last, and not the last. Madam Speaker, when it comes to infrastructure, I am in full support of the provisions, given the amount of work still needed to be done post-Erica. So while this government continues to aggressively address all the roads and bridges undermined, I am baffled that the opposition is busy criticizing the construction of the West Ridge in Roseau, our major center for business. However, those critics have traveled, taken pics at the White House in Washington, boast of infrastructure elsewhere, but clearly in their minds, Dominicans must not enjoy the best of infrastructure, not even in the main business hub. Magwesa. What a pity. Nevertheless, I did. What a pity. Sorry, man. What a pity. Nevertheless, Madam Speaker, greater are those who have the best interests of this country at heart, and greater is he who has called the Prime Minister and his cabinet to transform the face of Dominica. Amen. We shall not relent in our efforts to build back better and stronger. Madam Speaker, I grew up playing on a dirt road in Point Michel, but I must say that thankful to the efforts of former parliamentary representatives Ian Pinard and Sam Martin and our honorary Pal Rep, Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit, we are well on our way to eradicating dirt roads in our constituency. Madam Speaker, our achievements in the Soufriere constituency pre-Erica and what we shall achieve post-Erica shall be a hallmark of this government in this generation and generations to come. Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance has expressed its plan to continue with the same thrust to eradicate pit latrines, and the housing revolution in this budget. We in the Soufriere constituency are shining example of the empowerment of people by making them homeowners and improving their dwelling homes. Madam Speaker, this government did not only provide the lots at the most affordable price, but also ensured that funds were placed in the aid bank and government housing boards so people could access cheaper financing to build at a time when prevailing interest rates were over 10%. Joining the Dominica Labour Party was joining a group of ordinary men and women with great vision and commitment for improving the quality of life of its people. So I am committed to ensure that the lives of my people in the Soufriere constituency who have grasped on to the vision of a better Dominica continues to improve. So I say to my dear constituents, with a little patience, they shall receive the promised housing assistance. Madam Speaker, sports, agriculture, and tourism shall be the pillars of growth in the Soufriere constituency. Consequently, when I heard of 10 million for agriculture and 50 million for tourism to be placed at the aid bank, I felt like Jamelia Javier and Noah Alexander, who excelled at the recent GSAT exam and received numerous prizes at graduation, proud and elated. Proud of this government who continues to make the investments to boost vital sectors in our economy. These are timely injections, Madam Speaker, especially given the exciting projects in the Soufriere constituency. Over the last few weeks, I have met with farmers, and I will continue to meet with other interest groups who are eager about expanding agriculture in our constituency. Further in this fiscal year, 6 fishing boats will be handed to young fishermen who are serious about the trade. And plans are also in place to build a shed for fisher folks in Point Michel. I want to assure the Farmers Fisher Folks Group and the St. Mark Farmers and Fishers Cooperative that I'll be working closely with them in our efforts to expand agriculture and fisheries in our constituency. Madam Speaker, similarly, 15 million at 3% with a grace period of a year is unheard of in our region. However, instead of all of us applauding the government's effective response to helping our hotel and restaurant owners access low-cost financing to boost our tourism products, I heard one doctor speak about returning to the days of putting money in envelopes. I'm not sure what he meant, but Madam Speaker, as long as Labour is responsible for managing the affairs of this country, we shall never return to the days when UWP mishandled the finances of our country. Usually, when one hears of a doctor, one thinks of a cure or solution. But these days, one is really left to wonder. As I mentioned, Madam Speaker, tourism shall be one of the pillars of growth in my constituency. I am truly excited about Wakot-led Jungle Bay and Petit Coulibaly, both for the short-term and long-term jobs that they will create. But most importantly, I look forward in helping existing small business owners expand and the creation of new businesses so that my people can benefit from the spillovers of these investments. there will be a great focus on training, both in skills training and managing a small business, and also upgrading our attraction sites as part of the plan of continuing to transform Soufriere into a tourism mecca in Dominica. So again, while some appear to be focused on mischief, this government remains in touch with the challenges and aspirations of our citizens and continuously works to bring the solutions. Madam Speaker, the onus is now on us as citizens of this country to utilize these facilities to meet their objectives and support our growth by supporting local production and services. We have to start supporting local manufacturing and farmers by demanding local produce on shelves in all supermarkets. The Buy Local campaign is our national responsibility to keep cash flowing in our economy and head to our better days. We must be committed, just like the Barbadians did, to doing our part in building a stronger economy. Let's work to keep that 18 million spent on imports of poultry in Dominica. Madam Speaker, sports remains a highlight in the Soufriere constituency, as we are blessed with many outstanding athletes in cricket, football, volleyball, and other sporting disciplines. Consequently, I shall be knocking on the doors of the Minister of Sports and Prime Minister to get our share to upgrade our playing fields and build new courts. And I have no doubt that I shall receive the assistance. Sports remains an effective strategy at curbing juvenile behavior, and I'm pleased with the announcement of the proposed improvement to the Massac basketball court. I hope to replicate that idea in due time. As I speak, Madam Speaker, the Minister of Lands is already in the process in acquiring lands in Galio to build a much anticipated multi-purpose center for recreation, training, and other events. Family life. Madam Speaker, I am heartened with this Labour Party administration. I am heartened with our efforts to support single parents, as I know the struggles of many single parents in my constituency and other constituencies, especially those with absent fathers. The proper care of our children is imperative to secure our future and having a just society. Further, some families just cannot afford, especially when faced with an extraordinary situation like major health costs. So some of us may be critical of the expansion of the public support assistance, but who feels it knows. It is easy to talk when one isn't in a situation. Sometimes it is only when a situation arises that one understands how critical the public support assistance is. Madam Speaker, we are here today. I have constituents dealing with unexpected major health costs who needed quick interventions. But some interventions have been delayed because of the bureaucratic system in government. What must I say to them? Experience has taught me not to judge, for I know not what tomorrow might bring. So I welcome the healthcare scheme pilot project, getting delinquent fathers to honor their commitments, and the expansion of the public support assistance for timely responses to urgent needs. Finally, I could speak forever on my support for the provisions in this fiscal budget and how strong leadership and a strong team can make 90% loss of GDP look like a drop in the bucket. Not because it is not a challenging task, but because of good foreign relations, love and appreciation for the Dominica Labour Party and the CBI program. Madam Speaker, I could talk forever on the commitment of our government to strengthen our human resources, the importance of the NEP program, especially since almost 200 people in my constituency are employed under this program and have gained invaluable skills and training to better their lives and provide for themselves and families. I could talk endlessly of our commitment to the protection and enablement of my people through the Small Business Support Program. Yes, we care, and the pension to senior citizens over 70. Many citizens have expressed their thanks and continue to say that God will bless this government. But Madam Speaker, I want to make my final point on the CBI program. Without a doubt, given the global fiscal challenges and uncertainties, governments have to find other ways of raising revenues without burdening its people. This government has re-engineered a sound economic citizenship program as a source of raising revenue to provide for us. Sadly, again, the threat of this program isn't because our country is blacklisted like it was under the United Workers' Party, but the reckless, thoughtless, and idle views of some. Madam Speaker, I want to remind my fellow people, Dominica was in existence before Christopher Columbus and will continue to exist even after all of us here have passed. We cannot be our own enemies. Instead of some of us engaging in Eat What We Grow campaign, Keep Dominica Clean and Green, or in promoting Dominica as the best place to invest and live, their tactics have been to destroy the good image of Dominica. Madam Speaker, I cannot fathom why certain people in the diaspora who boast of their many qualifications and achievements sitting on their milk and honey in the US, who cannot say how many Dominicans that they have assisted to rise to their potential, have decided in their twilight years, based on gossip, to criticize the efforts of this government to sustain our economy. Madam Speaker, as far as I'm concerned, those selfish egos can pen their articles to the president in which countries they pay their taxes and made their investments.
You have 4 minutes left.
5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I move that the member for the Suffolk constituency be given an additional 5 minutes to complete the presentation.
Speaker, I second this motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the member be given a further 5 minutes to complete her contribution. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? Ayes have it. Please continue.
Thank you. Rest assured, the continued unwarranted and baseless attacks against our Prime Minister, one of our strong promoters of the program, really only hurts one nation, Dominica. An attack on CBI is an attack on the investments in tourism and agriculture. It is an attack on social programs, an attack on educational assistance, and an attack on jobs. This program brings in much needed revenue in the short term, which enables us as a government to invest in more long-term strategies to grow our economy. An attack on CBI, therefore, is an assault on our socio-economic welfare. So while the leader of the opposition spent 70% of his rebuttal talking about the IMF and St. Kitts, St. Kitts has managed to raise billions of dollars since the introduction of their program in 1984 to make the necessary investments to expand their economy. So the leader of the opposition must make up his mind. He cannot keep shifting the gears depending on when it suits him. Madam Speaker, please allow me to read a script of a song we all grew up hearing in church. A couple lines. Wake up, my people, know what life is all about. Wake up to the needs of all the ones who suffer sorrow. Wake up, promise now to do your best to change tomorrow. Wake up, my people, and open every door. Wake up, it is time now. Love my people evermore. And I ask, Madam Speaker, isn't that what this government has done?
Yes.
So those of us who continue to profess this gloom and doom over our country are doing a disservice to our people and a threat to our own success. Yes. Madam Speaker, the time has come for our actions and words to focus on the growth and development we want to see in our country. The time has come to stop our callous approach to dealing with concerns. Madam Speaker, the time has come for a true sense of patriotism to forge ahead the turbulent waters and triumph. The days of party politics in a small nation, subject to shocks and events beyond our control elsewhere, will add no value to our economy. Politics can no longer be a popularity contest, but placing solution-oriented people to be responsive in a forever changing economic space. For that, Madam Speaker, the Dominica Labour Party administration has proven fit for the task. So, Madam Speaker, I close by cancelling all the negative words that have been spoken in all forums against the growth prospects of our country. We are pressing onwards. Our growth as a nation is dependent on our individual responsibility towards our collective goal of making this government vision a reality, a stronger, better, more productive economy. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister and his cabinet and the staff of the various ministries that will work diligently to achieve the set targets and implement the plans of this budget. May the good Lord bless this budget. In Jesus' name. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I rise in total support and commend the Prime Minister for presenting...
You can go ahead and make your contribution.
I can go ahead.
Well, you didn't look for me to tell you to go ahead.
I apologize for that, Madam Speaker.
Go ahead, though.
Okay, I thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Okay, I rise in total support and commend the Prime Minister for presenting an excellent budget. discussion in many of our fellow citizens, and Madam Speaker, from time to time I'd like to consult my script.
Okay.
With many of our fellow citizens, the general comment is that it is a budget of considerable passion to our people and tremendous foresight in our present circumstances. Let us not forget, Madam Speaker, that this budget is being presented just under a year ago when our country and economy was devastated by Tropical Storm Erika. The Prime Minister in his address has fully detailed the full impact of the storm, and so I won't be repeating this, except to emphasize that this budget in large reflects the resilience of our people and the help and support of our friendly governments. Madam Speaker, this is a budget for everyone, and this is very true. Everyone is included in this budget. It was crafted in consultation with various sectors of the economy, and many of their recommendations has found their way into the budget. In his response to the budget yesterday, I must say, Madam Speaker, the leader of the opposition was suggesting some sort of consultation prior to the budget, and in a sense, a sort of a joint preparation of the budget. But, Madam Speaker, we all recall that after the passing of Tropical Storm Erika, when the Prime Minister, in the spirit of national unity and response, consulted with the opposition, how the opposition behaved on this matter. Based on the Prime Minister's office, we doubt to what extent the opposition is serious and sincere in their comments and actions, and that is why I'm inclined to refer to the reply by the leader of the opposition as an exercise of political deception. Madam Speaker, the government understands the critical role of the institutional arrangement for the effective delivery of the national objectives. After the election of 2014, my ministry was created. It's a new ministry. It's the Ministry of Planning, Economic Development and Investment. And Madam Speaker, based on that realization, this government created the ministry. From the inception, the ministry has worked closely with the Ministry of Finance, the line ministries, in the implementation of the PSIP and a number of projects. Last year we suffered tremendously. We know exactly why, and we couldn't achieve a lot of these projects under the PSIP. In this budget, the 2016-2017 budget, the intention is to work closely and closer with the Ministry of Finance in terms of the implementation of these projects. These projects would include working with various line ministry in really implementing them to take this country to that level, and of course, various other things. The GSPS, which came about in 2006 when we launched it, and of course, it's built on three major pillars: sound fiscal policy and administrative reform, and this is something that the Dominica Labour Party administration prides itself on in terms of strong fiscal responsibility. There's also creating the optimal conditions for foreign direct investments, as well as local private sector investments. Sectoral strategies as number 2, programs and projects for economic growth and development, and of course number 3, which is the progressive strategies, programs and projects for social protection and poverty reduction. As a matter of fact, Madam Speaker, coming up very soon, and in this budget there is allocations with a project under the CDB and some OECS involved in terms of funding a poverty assessment to see exactly where we are in Dominica given our situation. We have continued, Madam Speaker, to advance the Nature Island concept, and we have looked at a number of different projects in terms of how we advance these projects forward. And of course, we being the Nature Isle, we are well positioned to attract funds from all sort of climate type programs, and then we are going closely and very strong with that. Madam Speaker, one of our biggest investments in that made in the renewable energy sector, more precisely, the geothermal project. And we recall some time ago, a couple of years ago, there was a big uproar about the geothermal project. Very, very big uproar. We wasted a lot of time really trying to basically led by the opposition. So sad. We really led by the opposition. Where we had to go through the Roseau Valley from hamlet to hamlet, where there was a sort of a turmoil being built to try to, derail the project. This is one time I would have hoped that we could have worked together on something so critical for Dominica, with the Roseau Valley being the energy nerve of Dominica, from the point of view of hydro, let's say 30+%, close to 40, well, say 30, We're moving towards the geothermal project right now, looking at 3.5 megawatts in terms of 2 plants. Based on the exploration and the wells we have dug so far, drilled in the Rosa Valley, we've run production well. This is critical for us because this is going to lower the cost of energy and doing business in Dominica for the investments. But the opposition today, listen to some of them, and I must admit, it was a different spirit today. We saw sort of a, not fully partisan, but because the budget presented by the Prime Minister is so well presented and includes everybody in terms of the whole of Dominica, it was very, very difficult to not support a lot of the programs. I see my good friend from Rosa Central shaking his head, agreeing with me, as well as all the members who are here too. But I must admit, I was very, very disappointed, because when I listened to the rebuttal of the opposition, and Madam Speaker, my voice is not the strongest because, as you can see, I've had a little difficulty here, but I'll try my best. When I listened to the rebuttal of the response of the leader of the opposition to the Prime Minister's budget address, I was stunned, I was shocked. It looked like something of last year where you were just caught off guard. We heard the excuses of, may her soul rest in peace, the member for the Salisbury constituency. We had to go to the funeral. I thought the funeral was being held in the morning, but I realized it was in the afternoon. But water under the bridge, and we needed more time to be prepared for it. Though we gave the estimates ahead of time, we could go for it and, fix it up. But I was very, very disappointed. Because when I come here, in spite of the members here being opposition, and we'll learn more of that throughout my presentation today, I look forward to learn something from the opposition. I look for partisan, I look for something, because I'll be honest with you, I'm highly, oh my gosh, okay, because I'm a man, I base a lot of my work and my thoughts and everything on science. And if any member of the opposition were to say something that makes sense to me, I would listen to it. But I must admit, I'm here waiting still, Madam Speaker. But in terms of the leader of the opposition, I was disappointed. And I'll say to the members of the opposition who are here with us tonight, gentlemen, members of the opposition, you know I'm talking the truth. It is very sad. I see educated people here listening to that nonsense, and it was rough. Very rough for me. But let's leave that alone. Yeah. No, I mean, brother, you made a few points. As a matter of fact, I'll come to you right away. You fed the gentleman, the leader of the opposition, information. And you fed him on wrong information about the Kipinski project and the EIAs. You were wrong. From my ministry on the 30th of May, we received all the EIAs. As a matter of fact, if you didn't have the privilege of the parliament, you would have been sued, or he would be sued, and you would have to pay money, and you have to go and beg the poor people of Dominica to pay for it. You must stop that, because you are a gentleman. I expect better from you. I really expect better from you. You've been to school. Come on, man. Look, it's right here. It's right here. I expect better from you, at least to guide the leader of the opposition, because it's not his fault. He was imposed on the UWP, and he was imposed on himself, and it's not fair to him, poor fellow. And he has to go around, went a wrong term today.
I like parliamentary terms, poor fellow, but not
really
fellow.
I apologize, I reverse that term, and I'll say, poor honorable leader of the opposition.
Okay, I have to leave
and
with
you all
that.
stayed right here in the House of Assembly today. So I saw a picture of a few of you all just outside the House of Assembly, pretending to, like you all want to go to Roseau to see the 85-man match? Yeah. To see the 85-man match, and you all do, knowing very well that you all did not support it. Knowing very well, and if my leader, Honorable the Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit, well, we're not going to call any kind of match. But if you were to call a movement towards a positive something, or whatever it is, everyone here would be on that program. Members, I feel sorry for you all. Madam Speaker, let's move on. Okay. Now, Madam Speaker, under the DVRP, which of course is, the Climate Investment Fund, we're looking at $100 billion. And we're also targeting another fund, which is the Green Climate Fund. And this Green Climate Fund, it's sad that Erica had to come at this time, the tropical storm. But what we've been able to do in targeting these funds in terms of creating a sort of a green economy in Dominica so we can tap more of these funds, we had the experience of Erica, and we have to be doing things differently right now, and doing things differently in the context of Erica, because let us put this, Erica, I don't want you talking too much about Erica, but it is technically my first House of Assembly post-Erica. And I want to put Erica in the context of understanding that within our time that we have been on this earth, which, let's say we're going to live to about 100, 110, most of us here. If we do well, we'll make it. We're going to live to about 110. Now, in terms of time and geology and geologic time and absolute time and relative time, if you want to call it that in terms of geology, it's the first time I've ever seen something like that in my life in terms of a storm coming across Dominica, the devastation caused. It reminded me of when I was about 15, and let's say 40 years ago, because I'm getting to that stage right now in life, and I'm not scared of hiding my age at all, Madam Mr. Speaker. I used to see that sort of pattern before in terms of the dry ravines and what used to happen before. Now, 40 years, what has happened in 40 years? Most of your dry ravines would have been blocked off, your weather pattern would have changed, but we are seeing a reverse. Or we're going back to that part of the cycle, because climate change, global warming, some schools, would say, well, okay, it's part of a larger cycle. Some people would say it's not true and whatnot. But I know for a fact I've seen a little bit of that before, but not to that magnitude. And what Erica taught us, we have to do things differently. I had the opportunity of flying, and I'm talking about climate and, green and the sort of low carbon type funds. That's what I'm talking about. I flew over Dominica after Tropical Storm Erica, and I saw most of our villages, which is technically a mistake. And I'll come to planning right after in terms of why and changes we have to make. Most of our villages are, down in these valleys, exactly through the water where they're going to be draining. And if you look at the mountains in Dominica, Mount Tapito, Mount Diablote, you'll have some on the east coast, you'll have some on the west coast, and if there's heavy rain, it must drain out on both sides. Melvin Hall at the back would get the blast from Douglas Charles will get a blast from Mount Diablote, go down to Colliho, it will drain on that side. So we can see it. Most of our houses, based on planning in those days, we just built our little houses based on the old estates and where it was nice and we had a little water and you can have little things rolling. But right now, in terms of the funds that are available under this sort of programs, in terms of resilience, which is what our theme is anchored in, we have to make sure we do things differently. I flew over Dominica and I saw all our villages in these little areas. I flew over Guadeloupe and I saw a slight difference. I saw most of their villages, the settlements, not really in the center where it's going to flow off, but on the side a bit. So it showed us that, there are certain things that we have to be doing differently. And Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy that we are looking at the Physical Planning Act right now, the National Land Use Policy and the National Physical Planning Development Plan, whereby we can plan differently. We can plan new in terms of what's going to happen for the future, for Dominica. Because we cannot afford to build Dominica and taking into consideration building back better and the resilience of it without taking into consideration a proper plan for development, and that's critical for us. So I just wanted to make these points here to make us understand that it is very important. Now, the sort of funds that we are targeting for the development of Dominica, because of our Nature Island concept, we'll put in about $46 million into the geothermal project over the next 2 years. And we will get this geothermal project going. We have continued negotiations along the line of, say, Domlec and what we need to do, because Domlec is a major player in this development program as well too, but we'll get it done. Looking at 2 3.5 megawatt type plants over what period, and we want to take it incrementally. We want to take it incrementally from the point of view we want to understand what's happening in terms of that development, because it's new to us. We're not saying that we're not going to do it, but we want to take our time to understand it, but we want to do it, and we are brave enough and we're going to do it, because we have not stopped. I heard criticism yesterday and I think today, where it was criticized, and it's painful sometimes. Very painful to listen to this sort of criticism, because we are just criticizing sometimes for criticizing's sake. Dominica, we are way ahead. We are the leaders on it, and we have to move with it. And I'm happy it's in the Roseau Valley. So for those of you, probably most of you all weren't there at the time, but for some of your supporters and your ringleaders in those days, please ask them to apologize to the nation for really messing with the government in trying to push this program forward, because my interest is to lower the cost of energy and get investors to come in. The CBI program is working, and we have the money to run the program, and you will benefit. So let's understand that. Okay, gentlemen? You're not saying yes yet. Okay. Now, Mr. Speaker, the government is committed to the progressive and sustainable development of our people and the country. That's what we geared on for real. Economic development, which is the accumulation of physical capital stock or productive gains, in a given society results in general improvement of the quality of life of the inhabitants and society at large. These brought about by deliberate actions taken by the state, private sector, and civil society agents who independently or in a partnership depend on each other. Over the time, the government has achieved an average growth of, say, 2% annually. Our desire is to go back to the 5 to 7%. We know we were affected last period and we expect to drop a little bit, but we still want to try to hold it in terms of a positive growth for the country. But we were insulted when we look at our GDP. $1.3 billion just washing away in a short space of time, just 6 hours. We were really insulted. But we were able to hold this country together, move properly. We had to make some changes in terms of the PSIP, how we implement our projects. But rest assured, this period, the sort of relationship we have within the ministries, line ministries, Ministry of Finance, the plan is to move, as soon as we have approved this budget, is to move and implement these projects to really move the country forward. We have numerous challenges. Now, some of our moves towards agriculture in terms of the growth sectors, which is important for my ministry. We spoke about the heydays of the banana industry in the 1980s. And I heard a lot of criticism today coming from the members on the other side. But I want to take some time to explain this thing to us properly. I remember the long lines of the banana trucks and all the boxes behind the trucks selling the bananas. Yes, it was a well-established system within the Windward Islands. And it has gone through a number of different phases. Because I remember as a young boy, I used to be cultivating bananas. They say, I always say bananas. Bananas with my father. We used to go about wrapping bananas in those days, and then we went to the boxing and the whatnot, the different stages. So it has evolved. But we must understand that it was an organized system with an organized market. Then the WTO, based on the ruling, came and we lost the preferential market. You cannot come to this parliament and blame a government where the whole Windward Island, chain of islands, they were affected. And it wasn't only Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, or Grenada. It was all of us. We lost that preferential market. We lost it. And bananas started to go down. Because I've been to the UK, I've been to the supermarkets, these chain supermarkets where we still sell it. I've been to the ripening facility. And we started the problem then. It really started happening in the UWP government time. And because we are there for a very long time and we're going to be here for a very long time, it looked like it was in our period. But it started in that time. Coupled with that now, and listen to me carefully, coupled with that now, here comes a disease. And it's a very, very devastating disease. Black sigatoka. It wiped out Grenada completely. Grenada went off completely. St. Vincent was devastated. St. Lucia was probably the largest producer in that time. Messed up completely. Then finally, Dominica, the last one. Dominica is always the last to get diseases. You must understand that. There's something good about this island where we are the last to be impacted. Black sigatoka came in, devastated the entire industry. But yes, still we come here and we blame the government for it. Gentlemen, in terms of climate change, global warming, adaptation, acclimatization, agents, organisms, extinction of certain agents, organisms in terms of the disease chain, that's happening. We're not even aware of it. And soon from now, you'll probably not see certain insects again, and you may know where have they gone to. But when one disappears, whatever that one was feeding on will proliferate. And that's a major problem for disease in plants. Now, black sigatoka, yes, fungal types disease, I understand that. Very common during the rainy season. But it devastated our banana industry. And that was the last remnants of the economy that we had in terms of bananas in Dominica. And of course, more so to the susceptibility of plantains, even worse yet, in terms of contributing to the growth sector of the economy from an agricultural point of view. Under this government now, what we have done, and this is a Windward Island type approach to it, because BAM funds from the European Union all came in and we're looking at replanting, getting new planting material in terms of planting back the fields. We brought in excess of over 45,000 tissue culture plantlets, distributed them, and we established about 67.5 acres of bananas. And the plan here is to get it moving with the funds from the BAM, where we got spray oil, the fungicides, we got the spray men, and we're establishing a banana unit, which is a banana planting unit, where we can develop that wing, the extension wing of bananas again. Because when we had the DBPLs, the DVEX, the Banana Association and whatnot, they all came through a different phase. Now, I heard mention this morning of the struggling DPEX. DPEX is largely a private little organization. It's not really a banana farmers organization. We have some guys, some gentlemen in DPEX, they hold the shares of it, but the real farmer himself is not really part of it. So yes, we may try to sustain it. We give DPEX over $400 and something thousand to aid in the shipment of agricultural produce. It wasn't bananas at all, because DPEX basically will sell some agrochemicals down the road, buy a little fertilizer, try to retail it and what, try to sustain themselves. I'm not against that at all, because we all have to live. But to come here and give the impression, and the member for Roseau North knows very well, because he worked in it. I think he was laid off, because they couldn't afford to pay more. It was like, they had a lot of dead wood, to put it so, dead wood. A lot of guys, because the haters of banana, they have disappeared. So we had a lot of these guys. When I say deadwood, don't take me wrong, Mr. Speaker. I'm not referring to see the guys at deadwood, you know. I'm not calling them deadbeat fathers. I'm not talking about that at all. But it's figuratively it's referred to as deadwood. And they had to cut it so we could allow this whole thing to rebuild itself. So we have to be careful when people comment and make certain comments about the banana industry. We have to understand the true facts of it. And the true facts of it basically had to do with the WTO, disease, and now we are looking at replanting, putting the supplies in. No, agriculture is not cheap. Agriculture, that's a good point. I'm coming to you. No, that's a good point, and I'm happy that you're raising the point so I can expand on it some more. No, the disease is there still, I agree. But then we have the spray oil, we have the fungicides, we have the spray men, and we have to build it some more. No, the disease is there, it's not going to go nowhere. No, at all not. Because what you mean? The whole island, no, you mean, okay. From a disease point of view now, yeah. From a disease point of view, you had all these fields around the place abandoned, and they act as a nidus, or a little center for the proliferation of the disease. So when it's Dominica, the rainfall is high, so during the rainy season, the spread is taking place. It is not easy to come here and blame a government, not because it could be, well, God forbid, it's not yours because we are here. But it is difficult to control it, but we'll go. But what I want to impress upon us here today, and the farmers listening, is we have to take charge of the industry. I am a farmer myself. I plant sweet peppers, I plant potatoes, I plant tomatoes, I plant everything I can plant, right? But I cannot depend on the government to spray my tomatoes for me. I cannot do that because I want to sell my tomatoes to make money. I have to do it for myself. So to sit back, okay, I've given you the free plants, I've given you inputs, I've given you the oil, the fungicide, I've given you spray men too, you know. And I will plan to give you the beast blowers too, you know, but you have to take charge of it. No longer the banana industry is in its present state, and where we have to take it to, it cannot be a program like that. We have to take charge of it. We have to take charge of it. Government will help, and we have helped, but we farmers must take charge of it, just like the feeder roads. When we speak of growth in agriculture, it is all related to that, plus taking charge of it for ourselves. So that's important. Now, luckily for us as well too, Windfresh, which is technically like the Windward Island program, they're coming back again. They want to look at some special farms in Dominica, in Mr. Drago's constituency, Mr. Drago, the member for the Castlebrooks constituency. We look at the farms, the investment in terms of the irrigation, where we can plant bananas again under scientific conditions with water and have these large farms, because there's a ready market again in the UK for bananas, because the Dominican banana is a good banana, and they want that banana again. So these are some real promising discussions that have been held recently with the Minister of Agriculture, who have a lot of respect for, you know, this gentleman here, Honorable Drago, a lot of respect for him. Very, very, a lot of respect. That's why today I'm here really pushing more agriculture, because this gentleman can say what you want about him, his heart is in agriculture. And surprisingly, he knows about agriculture and he knows about his farmers. This Mr. Drago you see here. So, gentlemen, when I speak here about the banana industry, I just want to clear up that part here because fellows will come here. Sorry, members of the opposition will come here. Mr. Basil, the member for Wesley, Mr. Luge, the member for Rosenhoff, having been involved in the banana industry, but having understood the banana industry from a scientific point of view, I think they have to clear up some of the misinformation that goes out there. And I'll clear up the abattoir just now as we continue to move through. Now, of course, we have moved on to modernizing the sector. We have the agricultural investment unit, and of course, we're going to be putting $10 million in this year's budget allocated for agriculture at the aid bank and the facility at the aid bank. The reason for that is we understand the cost of agriculture, the cost of doing agriculture in terms of the operating cost is too high for the farmers. I'm a farmer, Honorable Austria is a farmer, the Prime Minister is a farmer, Mr. Blackmore farms, Mr. Drago farms, everybody farms here. Everybody. I'm not sure. No, I'm serious. No, because I sell. I have my card. I sell. No, I know the cost of agriculture. We know it. This is why in this year's budget, we have put money in there, $10 million, a facility at the aid bank for farmers, both livestock and crop farmers. And the reason why we're looking at both livestock and crop farmers is the agrochemicals are costly. The fertilizers are costly. We don't produce them. We have to depend on them, and we need them. I mentioned about climate change, global warming, and climate smart agriculture. And then we have to be careful about using some of these agents we have to use them in a smart manner because you don't want to be just going out there and bashing your soils and your plants with chemicals because you're creating a serious imbalance. But at the same time, you have to understand what's happening. That is why we have a golden opportunity in Dominica still. Don't criticize Dominica. We have a golden opportunity in Dominica still because some of our neighbors, they produce the unacceptable, reason being they have bashed their soils with these agrochemicals which were harsh and they're harmful and they're carcinogenic. We still have, and we have this chance in Dominica. So let us build Dominica in terms of agriculture and how we. So we have placed that money in the aid bank, whereby we have the necessary grace periods, both for production of livestock, in terms of the abattoir and what we are doing there. We know, gentlemen, that we can come here and criticize the abattoir if we want. That's a grave mistake. I remember the days when it was plucking birds with our hands with feathers. I have a farm, just devastated by Erica. I know what it is. We have plucking machines, yes, but we have a state-of-the-art investment in Layu, capable of really processing these birds for us. And then we come here. I heard the senator from Senator Monell, where she mentioned about the cost of production, and it was pinning me a bit there. So I got the opportunity I wish she was here to really, somebody said this thing straight, because people need to understand. You see, just like the car home road, when she missed the point about the $2 million, I felt a little bad for her because it was a basic miss, you understand? But she's listening, I'm sure. But what I want to say here, we cannot come to this house and speak about a major growth sector, the agricultural sector, with the investment of government in it from the abattoir's point of view and the processing and the move towards making us, maybe not totally self-sufficient, but we're importing, say, $18 million annually, both in pork and poultry. Pork being about 1.7 or so million or something like that, and then the poultry being about 16.7 as way up as that. When you add it together, about close to 18. And all we want to say, let's take 25% of that in the first phase. And she mentioned, the senator mentioned about it's too expensive. The local people won't eat it. Now, you know the cost of health care? When we eat this imported chicken from the US, so I realized, it was a total misunderstanding of the whole concept, and the vision of this government. We are the ones paying the bills for our people. There are numerous cancers popping up. Dr. Darrell will tell you all about it, in terms of his new hospital and the plans for it. And we're trying to curb cancers. It's a challenge for us. We are paying the bills. So when we come here and we try to put wholesome chicken, healthy, wholesome chicken, no antibiotics, no promptants, fresh chilled meat on the public, yes, it may cost a little more. The point we have to make here, we're saying that it could never be as inexpensive as the U.S. chicken. The U.S. chicken is bulk chicken, loaded with antibiotics, loaded with promptants. It is unhealthy. See what young ladies are showing up with. all different sorts of, mammary type, breast cancers. The men are showing up with problems. This is what's causing that, gentlemen. So we cannot come here and compare the cost of chicken or pork from the abattoir against imported pork, which is inferior, sometimes as old as 7, 8, 9 years old, loaded with all sorts of pigments, affecting our health. The health cost is going to be much higher. The savings on a few pence up from the wholesome chicken, and it is high quality chicken. It is wholesome, and the product is very good. So, gentlemen, members of the opposition, and Dominicans listening, I would like to encourage you to eat what we grow, eat local, it's healthier. Don't make nobody fool you about that. I am sure of that. Don't criticize the abattoir. The abattoir is state of the art. It is modern. We never had one before. We have a golden opportunities. We have placed money in there, 10 million. Some of that includes the pork farmers, the poultry farmers. We have a number of different pilot programs. Our farmers is an opportunity for our farmers. An opportunity. We spoke about the hatchery. Yes, there are about 2 hatcheries on the island right now, and the private sector persons are showing interest. So that will come, but the immediate thing is not a hatchery. We have to look at Barbados, where we get our chicks from. And we're speaking to another U.S. company that is sufficient for Dominica. You look at 70,000 people. You have to understand the dynamics of that, and the cost effectiveness, and and I'm sure you all know all the economic terms. We're going to go to feed now. Feed. Someone mentioned about we don't have a feed mill here, a feed plant here. Feed plants, I've always said that the feed plant is based on corn, soybean, and whatnot, in terms of protein and carbohydrates, manufacturing it. But the real product that's coming from that is really, in terms of wheat, look at the white flours and the corn flours, where you can sell that. A feed mill is not only a feed mill for a feed mill's sake. A feed is just a byproduct of the whole processing. 70,000 people population, it is difficult for a feed mill to sustain itself. However, we would like to look at bulk ordering of feed to sustain the industry. So we have to be careful when you come here and we hear of government intention and plans, and we're moving well on our way, and we start talking about development in Dominica, and we just throw these little programs out there. It is painful as a man involved in it, knowing about it. I realize sometimes it's good to educate people on those things so we can all be on the same page. I hope that's correct. Thank you. Now, education is important. Now, in terms of the agriculture is a serious one for me, because the Minister of Tourism will speak about his tourism growth aspect of it. My ministry, our interest here is all the growth areas of the various sectors that contribute to the economy. That's my interest here. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on tourism, because the minister gave a complete program on his tourism program, just to say that I want to concentrate a lot on agriculture, because I have a serious bias for agriculture. Desertification, I'll do that for you right away. Yeah. No. You see, that's active engagement in the House of Assembly, and this is very good. Yeah, this is very good. Now, you ask about sanitation and certification. Very good point. Any meat that's intended for human consumption, like if I were to go to, say, Whitchurch, Astafans, ACS, or wherever the meat is sold, I cannot slaughter 5 pigs in my backyard, put them in the back of my truck, and take it to Whitchurch and say, pigs for sale. No, it's not done so again at all. It's done through the Ministry of Health, Environmental Health, of course with the veterinary aspect of it. The inspection is done. But it's much easier to perform that inspection at the facility with state-of-the-art equipment in the conveyor belt system. One of those days, what I'm going to do, Mr. Minister of Agriculture, I'm strongly recommending that we take the opposition members here on a field trip to the abattoir. And this is what we call bipartisanship. The reason why I'd like to do it is because I saw it for myself, and I've been in there, and I'm very impressed with what I saw. And gentlemen, I can say gentlemen because there are only gentlemen here from the opposition, Mr. Speaker. You'll be you'll be stunned at what you see there, and the conveyor belt type system. So as soon as this house is over, I'm going to plan a trip for the opposition members here to come with us. We'll provide, gentlemen, I'm serious. We'll provide snacks, health snacks and whatnot, and we'll go up the road, we'll look at it, and you see, no, I'm not bargaining. I mean, but the program is on. No, that's part of No, come on. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, but you're into it, gentlemen, which is good. All right. Now, let me touch a little bit on the agriculture again in terms of the crops. You know, some time ago we were devastated by this disease, which is CTV. And of course, more recently, we have the one long bean, which is a greening disease in citrus. Our limes are bearing a lot right now. My limes are actually laden. And I urge every member here to plant more, plant tree crops. And it is our intention as government, the minister is here as well, to look at a tree crop replanting program, because we're starting to look at our exports in terms of exporting agriculture. But we are plagued by diseases. And gentlemen, when we come here in a non-partisan manner and we throw shots out there at the industry, it's sad. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm so concerned about greening disease and one long bean. It sounds funny, the names of these they're real diseases. I'm so scared about it because I know what it can do to our industry. You know, in the 1918s, we heard about what happened in Soufriere and Scott said and the lime industry. We saw what happened in the CTV, and CTV has been here for probably about almost 10 years. And we saw the trees dying, and we wondered what was happening. But then we found what was happening. Based on the citrus brown aphid movement down into the region, we've been the last country to get it. We have invested heavily in what you call a citrus certification program. Again, trying to protect agriculture's contribution to the growth. I want to bring agriculture up because it can do a lot for Dominica. And we were plagued by that. We brought in the citrus certification program, heavy investment by this government on what you call rootstock tolerant material, not resistant, tolerant. You must understand these words here. So we used to use the sour orange rootstock before. That is highly susceptible to CTV, but it is very good. It's very prolific in the wet conditions. Then we got on to what you call, we thought that wasn't good enough, we were doing all we could in terms of CTV and the certification program, which is working very well. Here it is, we were hit by one long bean now, a dangerous little disease again. Not little one, no? There's no cure for that one. Spread by a psyllid. And that one is a problem. You have to kill, you have to cut the trees down. That's a problem. So the citrus has a problem. The bay leaf has the little problem as well, to trigger with what happened to Dr. Darrow's constituency in terms of the disaster we suffered there. And our agriculture was suffered. You heard the minister from the east, and I felt for him because he had passion delivering on it. The livelihood of his farmers affected in the east of Dominica in terms of the various diseases, and that was a major problem for him. I went with him. I almost cried with him because I felt his pain. Be honest with you, I felt his pain. And the farmers in the northeast have been affected, even their dashings too in terms of the aphids and the mosaic disease. All these problems are affecting us, gentlemen. And it's not our fault. And that's why I brought up the whole climate smart and climate change and global warming in terms of the organisms that are dying right now and those that are proliferating, creating more problems for us. But I beg and advise our farmers here, don't go about collecting planting material from all around the place. That's a mistake. Look at proper planting material, clean planting material. And it's our intention as government, under our Chinese friends, under Portsmouth, to build a tissue culture lab. Right. And this is what's going to take Dominica. Gone are the days where let me tell you what happened to me recently. A friend of mine, I want to put in some tanias. I went there, got some tanias from a friend of mine. I know better, but I wanted some tania plants. Gave me some. And basically I introduced a problem in my plot. What I'm saying is we have to look at clean planting material. A clean plant is resistant and it can produce and it can stand against diseases. So we have to understand those things. I know these gentlemen are very attentive here, which is a very good sign. Yes, and it'll help you a bit because it's late at night, and I mean, it's better to have it that way where there's, both of us together with it, Yeah. Yep. Now, let's move on to some other parts here because I have so much I want to tell you about. Now, the pack houses, and Mr. Isaac knows it very well. That's another growth sector of ours here too, in terms of our exports. And I'd like to see agricultural exports increase a lot more. And you see, the Prime Minister has said, and I'm aware of it too, the Financial Secretary is here, and all the ministers are here, and you are here too. I don't think agriculture is captured properly in terms of our exports. Because the boats are coming, they're taking the produce out, but there's no real tally of it. And I think there's a lot more reporting to take place in agriculture. So we went ahead, and Mr. Isaac, you're there, you know it very well, in terms of the National Export Strategy, which I really hope you talk a little more about, because it's important. But That's not there right now. We're talking about the pack houses. We criticize it in the presentation. It's mentioned in the budget, but it was sad. You know why? We have the IRDCs. We have the other depots down there. Banana was the same one that Apex is one of them as well too. Distribution centers. We have the pack houses. Now you see the pack houses were designed to look at the non-banana crops, maybe some plantains as well too. But right now, on the CARICOM Development Fund, we have equipped these pack houses and we're now ready for action. As you realize, last week we opened the pack houses and we're ready to move right now. There are machines there, the conveyor belt system, packaging, sorting, grading, proper records of our agricultural produce going on. Now, in this budget, there's also $500,000. And it's important for it to be there. When I speak from experience and I speak from what I know. I actually spoke with a huckster who goes across to Matnik. And he called me because he had a problem with shipping his produce. You know, I used to have hucksters with produce loaded, ready to go across there, and the boats can't go. You know why the boats can't go across there? They're not certified. They're not up to scratch. They're not working properly. The equipment faulty. And the French have put some serious restrictions on us because the French consumer is demanding that the produce that comes from Dominica going to Guadeloupe for sale to provide growth for this country, the boats are not up to scratch. So they ban the boats from coming. What happens to the farmers? The huckster gets jammed up. The farmer cannot sell his produce. It's a problem. So the money in terms of the pack houses being operationalized, loaded equipment really working there right now, fixing up the boat system in the interim so we can get the produce moving, we can record everything there so we can know the true input of agriculture in terms of the data. This is visionary leadership within a government. It's not just based on, yes, you might say it took a little time, but that is when, based on the resources, that's when it was done. But it's done right now and we have to make it happen, and it's going to happen because they are operationalized. We're moving right now. So I would urge most of the members in this house, on the other side as well, to let us plan to flood these areas there. Let's get the produce up because our produce is very good and it will help a lot for agriculture. And the figures for agriculture, a growth sector that we must understand. It's very serious. Now, we had, of course, we looked at the market. We're going to also establish strengthen the Dexia wing in terms of the marketing, looking at non-banana, plantain, and some banana too. Reason being, we want to look at the regional market. We would like to resume the UK market because the demands are still very high and it's going to bear fruit. Some details I cannot give here because it involves another island and why Dominica is being looked at, which is very good for us. But I'm not going to get into the business of other islands in the Caribbean. I'm interested in Dominica. So there's an opportunity for us in the banana industry to head back to the UK. Something I really want to see based on the investments we have made. So the investments are not late. I was very disappointed, very, very disappointed when the member for Wesley and Honorable member for Roseau North supported it, and I think the leader of the opposition misguidedly supported it too, poor fellow. When we took the bananas and we dumped them at Melvin, that was shameful. When you have people, why not distribute it to people who really require it? You dump it there trying to create an impression, give a bad impression. Gentlemen, we have to stop that. This country cannot run this way. We're trying to grow this country. Yes, I understand that it's difficult for you all. You've been in the dark for a little while now. It's getting a little irritating. But let's still work together because God forbid though, but you can never tell, but God will still have to forbid. One day you could never tell, but God will forbid. No. However, coming back to it. So what we're going to do now, we realize the importance of this whole program and the constraints of the farmers because the farmers are very important for us. So we're going to strengthen the Dexia wing of it, get a person, and we are speaking to someone already to beef up that aspect of it, to help in the exports. Now, we are working on the banana wing because really and truly after the dismantling of the banana industry by the WTO and the disease, the whole thing went way down. So we're going to strengthen that again, strengthen fair trade because they are still the ones to market the bananas to the UK for us. But they're a bit weak right now. And to say come here and try to compare fair trade and Apex, wrong. Two different type of companies. One is a private company that government's struggling to try to help, highly politicized, but that's not our business. We're still helping it. and the other one is a sort of a fair trade, program where we can get it. But they're a little weak right now. We want to strengthen them so we can run this program together. And I would recommend, definitely, that the folks in DPEX, if they really serious about agriculture, let's go and plant. Because I'll tell you the truth. You make more money by planting than a little salary, I'm a planter. I plant. I'm a vet too. I'm a politician as well too. It has to be free things to fit the pocket right now. You understand? Right. No. But in the US, in the US, people have free for jobs too. So I'm to Dominica. Our economy is much smaller. After all. Now, another area of agriculture that's important for us, we can lend a lot to growth as well too, is the whole aspect of essential oils and the herbs, the spices. We're well suited for that in Dominica. And Madam Speaker, I had a discussion with Madam Speaker at her home recently. We were discussing spices. And you'd be surprised that Madam Speaker is very, very versed on that topic. I hope I can use your name, Madam Speaker, because you're here. But in terms of, we see spices, right? We should see spices in terms of, that sort of like perfumes, colognes and whatnot. Just a little bit of it. And you see this bay we have in the Petit Savane, some in Lapland, Dailies. I used to be in an old mill there, old steel there, long ago as a little boy. I used to go in there and play. You see that product we have there? And we are the largest producer in the world. I hope you all know that. Because a lot of countries use it as something for their culinary art, for their food. But we use it in terms of, our cost, our sort of industry, we want to do like the perfume. I think we have to expand more on it. Yes, a disease may be affecting it right now. We can control that based on cleaning our fields and organizing them and feeding them a little more. But the disaster in Petit Savane will not cause the plots to go away. You know why? Because government, we're looking at relocating, resettling the Petit Savane people. That's what I've done for the Jubic people. And then they can use Petit Savane for their plots, and they can go to their gardens over there. And the houses can be like little jupas for them, if you want to call it that. But we would like them to sleep in Bellevue, on flat ground. But I don't want to lose that production aspect of the bay leaf up there at all. I want to keep it. I'm happy that you're seeing that is a pretty good lecture. I'm happy. I thank you, sir. Now, we heard about the CBI program, and I'll come back again to other parts as I keep on moving. There's a lot I want to talk about tonight. I hope I have enough time. But I must talk a little bit about my ministry from time to time. I'm not going to come here and just read a speech to you. That's not my style. I have to talk and explain to people what's happening. But I'll read a little part there for you. This construction sector, of course, 5%. The construction sector is going to boom right now because quite a bit of devastation. In spite of what's happening in terms of Erica, people are still building here. And Dominicans own their home, They own their homes, lovely homes. We are putting mortgage systems in place for that. The banks are coming out more, and they're pushing the money out of people to build their homes. Cement, steel, lumber. So things are booming. Now, most important though, these major projects we're undertaking under the CBI, the range Kipinski project, state of the art in Portsmouth, that's going to transform the north, The one in Black Outlet in Soufriere. There's another one in I hold in the Jungle Bay aspect, and I feel for you, Peter, an honorable member for that place. I feel for you because when we were explaining to the people of the constituency, I felt for them because they came there and they said they were feeling sorry that they're about to lose this whole program because of the sort of economic benefit for the area. But we put it in another part of Dominica which you can benefit from. So when you look at that, coming back to construction, Back Outlet, Kipinski, Tranquility, just now Silver Beach, that's a lot for this country in terms of the construction workers and whatnot. We will move. Now, gentlemen, members of this honorable house, especially the opposition, this is not a pie in the sky type project. We should look at the pictures, and if you go down to Portsmouth, cement is being poured. That's right. It's been poured. Jobs are created. This must mean well to Dominica. It must boost the construction sector, which will contribute to growth as well too. We criticize the Cabridge Hotel and Spa, rightfully so. Not our fault really. It's a gift. It's a gift. Of course, the change of the Moroccan Foreign Agency created a little problem for us because something a little change of leadership in certain areas. No, this is facts. I don't lie. I don't lie. Change up that aspect. Create a little problem for us. They will come again, and they're coming. They're coming, and this will be built. Guess what? It's on Dominica. It can't go nowhere. It will be built, and it will benefit that area. As the member for the Portsmouth constituency said, since the days of his father and before that, number of different studies for that area right there. Forget the name of these fellas, some kind of fancy name fellas, big fellas. Exactly, Shannon Cooks, some kind of name like that. Anyway, but it is there, and it will make it, and it will be completed. You imagine what it is for the people in Dominica, 70,000. Let's say you have, say, 5,000 young men and women in Dominica. When you couple the NEP of it, which is a very serious program, I'll come to it just now, and the work done on these hotels there in terms of construction, operation, and managing these hotels.
You have 5 minutes left.
Wow. I need at least half an hour.
20 minutes.
Not tonight, no, not tonight.
20?
How much you want, Doug?
Okay.
Huh? Doug, 20?
I apologize.
All right.
Okay, I'll try this again.
Yeah. Madam Speaker, I move that the...
You're not supposed to be out of your seat when you do these things. Let somebody who is in their seat. Very important that members who are in their seats I will hear them.
Madam Speaker, I move that the member given a further 20 minutes complete his presentation.
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the member be given a further 20 minutes to complete his contribution. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Please continue. 20 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 20 minutes, I'll be sharp on time and nothing more than that. Okay. But coming back to my ministry, just to let's understand that we're looking at $314 million for the PSIP for the budget this year, which is significant. So, of course, it is much higher than previous, and we'll take it much further than that. Now, we spoke about the physical land use plans. I won't go much on that, but just to impress upon you the importance and the right timing of this study, the consultancy by Dillon's right now in terms of, and Mr. Baptist, Honorable Senator Baptist knows exactly what I'm talking about. There's one thing I like about him. He's very versed and strong on it. And I listen to him sometimes. The member, Senator Baptist. Yes, that's what I said. No, I correct. So, okay, sorry, Senate. Okay, good. Senator Baptist, he's very versed on it, I must admit, because having worked in that, so I think he'll truly appreciate what I'm talking about in terms of the timing of this plan for Dominica, given Erica and the experiences of it and where the vision for the future. This is critical. I'll just say one thing here. Those of you who probably in 70s, 80s, or 60s, the sort of boulders we saw deposited in our rivers, 60 years ago, they weren't there. So this is one of the first times that happened to Dominica to that extent. I'm sure of that. Now, Madam Speaker, I support the Citizenship by Investment program and much criticism about it. I must admit that the opposition members here today, I think they understand truly that the figures produced are very, very factual. It's a good program. I would like to urge you, gentlemen, the members of the opposition, do not speak ill of it. Reason being is, there's one in the UK has theirs, the US has theirs, Cyprus has theirs, Malta has theirs, the Caribbean has theirs. The thing about Dominica is, St. Kitts has, the thing about Dominica, it is the best hot bread right now. The due diligence is tight. It's a nature island. The program is working very well. There's nothing wrong in that. Nothing wrong in that. As a matter of fact, when the Prime Minister presented, he told you funds that had to be sent back in terms of paying people back because they did not pass the test. So do not criticize the program because every single government has had a program. The only problem with it right now is that the Dominica Labour Party has perfected it. And it's a great opportunity for us. It's a great opportunity for us. The hotel sector benefiting right now. You know what it is? I visited some of my hotel people in the Roseau Valley last week, and I saw a little bit of struggle taking place. And I was so happy that the owner of the hotel saw it fit that he was going to benefit from it to raise the standard of his hotel all through the CBI program. He's not a supporter of mine, but he's going to benefit. And I went by him, and he's going to benefit from it, so do not criticize it. And I know Senator Baptist knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's a great opportunity for us, gentlemen. Do not criticize it. Come here, let's debate, but don't criticize it. It's very, very good. No, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm speaking with a passion here because I know the benefits of that program. There are not many trains leaving this station anymore. We have a train that's packed in our station and moving, loaded. Let's keep it. Yep. Now, Madam Speaker, let me just get back to some of the, I don't have much time yet, right? But I want to talk a little bit on some of the things there as well, too. I think I touched on most of them. No, I'm not going to, no. Now, this country, right? We spoke all about the various packages. Now, the senior folks, the young mothers, the Prime Minister made a statement here. I am one, I don't support men who make children and don't support them. I've done my fair share, I have my kids, I love them, I'm their mother and their father. So any man that has a child and is not supporting it, we have to castrate them. Or they must go up. You have to pay, because you know why? I see these single mothers coming to us all the time with children in bus stops. Those fellas are reckless. Women cycle every month. Men have their problem with them as well too. And we mate. We are big people here. But when we mate, we produce children. And you cannot leave these children to underprivileged mothers who are struggling, maybe coming from a single parentage as well too, and allow these children to suffer. It is painful. It hurts me. I am not in favor of men fathering children, these deadbeat fathers, and not supporting them. I'm not in favor of that. Bottom line, this government has saw it fit to protect our single mothers because they're the ones out there struggling, and they're the ones working, and they're the ones raising our children. And if we don't fix that up, it'll be a rough on the system because we'll be producing problems on ourselves. So we have seen it fit as a Dominica Party. Look at a pilot program for them, for the insurance. We'll study it, we'll fix it up, but we have to start somewhere. That's what we're saying. We're going to start somewhere. And we're going to provide for them in this budget where we can take care of them, because it is, gentlemen, members of this honorable house, Madam Speaker, I see it every day. It is rough for the mothers. The elderly, the seniors, and my Mary is listening to me at the infirmary right now. She went there 2 weeks ago, 93. And she has the Prime Minister picture and my picture in her house, because that's the government that's for the future, for the people. The seniors, the elderly. And Mr. Bunty is 80-something years old, going to 90. C'est quoi l'eau? C'est pas toi, Madame Speaker. Depuis juste mon fait, n'a jamais vu le gouvernement faire ça. Since I've been born, I've never seen a government to do that. And it's driven to the Dominica Labour Party. So what's in place for the seniors in terms of 200 to 300 is a godsend. You know what it is sometimes? When older folks are at their homes, they can't buy a little something and whatnot. But because of dignity and pride, they're not going to beg for it. If they know you personally, they'll ask for it. These things are important, and this government, with the social safety net programs in this budget, and in spite of Erica, we are saying that if we're making money under the CBI program, we want to share it with our people. Yeah, share it with our people. And we'll show you exactly where we're sharing it. The Prime Minister decided that he's going to put 4 centers. And I beg you all to be part of the centers as well, too. Because this is the way for Dominica, for our people. Passion. Okay, but Madam Speaker, for safety's sake, because my time looks like it's flying very rapidly. Yeah, I'm very careful with that. I want to talk a little about my constituency. Okay, I don't want to ask some more time, but the Roseau Valley was hit seriously by Tropical Storm Erica. And just before I forget, because I like to rush things, and it's not my fault, because time is always a problem for me in terms of delivery. I want to thank my PS. I'm going to do it now. My PS, the Chief Development Planner, and all the staff of my various units, and the whole government staff for the efforts in helping us to put this program together. And there's some other things I'll speak about at the PSIP level, which I won't speak about here right now. I want to make this thing much better. However, coming back to the Roseau Valley, I want to look at the Roseau Valley in the context of we were struck seriously by Tropical Storm Erica. And it's not our fault, our beauty is our challenge, as the AG likes to say. Lovely mountains, rivers flowing, but when it rains, it pours in the valley. Water system affected the Mount Prospero and the basin of Mount Nicotrin to Mount what? That basin there is sinking. Do they condemn us, say it was because we bought the holes for Jerusalem, because the land to sink? Pure madness, opposition kind of things. Not really you, but your operatives. And that has to be changed. There's investment if do ask for right now for that, for changing it. But coming back to the Cabanis area, which is a major area where you can get the valley, you can get cut off. And we're drawing the plans for it right now because we had to put this wall back. The Trafalgar Bridge has been an issue for us, but with my limited engineering skills, I decided that we have to span 2 panels, not one, because I know the Queens River, which is the Rosa River. When it rains, it pours there and it will wash it away for us. I don't want every minute for the people from Wharton Wave and Trafalgar to be calling me and telling me, Doc, the river flooding again, we can't pass. So I want to do something positive, and I want to do it before November, October, before that season starts. So that will be done. We worked on the little edge failures in Fokani, Bayak, and Loda. Again, Dominica has issues in Papua because their pipes were undermined because of the water we saw. You all don't know that, but I'll say it here right now. Many, many moons ago, probably about 20-something years ago, I can show you pictures where I used to swim in the waterfall just below the pool just below the waterfall with lovely orange-type markings from the sulfur deposit coming down in the waterfall area there. A big stone slide came and it covered that. Lasted for 20 years. Erica took out every single stone and exposed it again. Young people wouldn't know that because they weren't exposed to that, but these are the true realities of the rage of this river. So we have to build resilience for it. So we'll take care of that. The Rim project took care of all our roads. The Wharton Waven Road is terrible, and the Wharton people are hearing me. In this budget, we have catered for their road. We will start it and we'll finish that road because I promised them that road and they will get it because it's important for us. It's the activity where most of us go to for our musculoskeletal problems and massage. That's where we go to the warm water up there. And I mean, Mr. Blackman knows that very well. All of us know it very well. No, I'm talking about for exercise. No. The Cochrane folks, our Cochrane people, when I went to Cochrane and I trust them and I told them I will build a road for them, we have started that road and we'll finish the road for them. Mount Prosper have done half of the road, we'll do a little more of it, but safe. So all in all, the roadways in the valley, we're working on them and we're going to fix them because we want to have a proper network. The NEP has been a godsend for me. And I like how the honorable member from the Lapland constituency said, if his poverty bring more for him. Because I cannot talk my full figures here, but my figures are very high and it has helped me. And the reason for that is my area, the Rosa Valley, other than Cochrane, to a certain extent, Mount Prosper, largely tourism. So the vendors and whatnot is a little difficult for them. So the off-season aspect creates problems. That's why we talk about employment, underemployment, and part-time employment. And I'd like to urge the nation that during the cruise season, where we're all booming and we're making money in little restaurants, taxi, and we're moving it, as soon as it's over, let's get back to agriculture. And we can look at 2 occupations right there and look at the service industry. And let's run the program. Dominica is not about one thing. We have sometimes we have, in terms of the productive sector, that's ideal, but we have to look at the service sector and adding value to certain things to grow that economy. We have to think out of the box right now. Gone are the days where we just go into production. So the for me, the value would be education critical for me. No, I don't think no chances on that. I saw my former teacher here, but he has left us. Mr. Sorrento taught me at school. Very, very good biology teacher. Education is critical for me. No compromise there whatsoever. And I've urged the folks of the valley, my people, to take advantage of it. We have folks in China studying. We have folks in Venezuela studying. We have folks in Cuba studying. We have folks all around the region studying from the valley. And I urge them to take more of it. The school bus program and a school feeding program in Trafalgar, but the school bus program, the support to the elderly is the Yes We Care. The valley has its fair share of it, and this government will continue to make sure, under my leadership, the valley I'm talking about, will continue to make sure we provide for them. But education is critical for me, and I urge the parents of the Rosa Valley, yes, we may not have gone to that level, but let's make sure our children get to that level. Because you cannot escape in this world right now. Impossible without some form of education or training or learning a skill. It's impossible. Actually, it is suicidal and it's like a death. Well, of course, you must finish high school. I thought that was a given. Yes. You cannot go through this world right now without education. And I'm seeing men on the other side here who understand what I'm talking about. Well, everybody here understands what I'm talking about. I'm seeing the gentleman from the opposition who has stayed back with us. I commend you for really taking charge of education. So, Madam Speaker, before I close here tonight, I don't know how much time I have left. Okay, I want to make sure that we understand that this weekend is the feast of a number of areas in the Rosa Valley. I'm sending out a broad invitation here to every single member here. Madam Speaker will be there as well too. Where we're going to be in Cochrane for the Rabbit Festival, 3 nights, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come there on Sunday, you'll join me to eat some rabbit meat. In a plant style, I'll eat it, but you can eat the meat. We have a little program at Loda, free on Sunday. You can come, family function. If you want to come, you're going to have a little something by the school there. But the big event is Fet Kaichi, where we are started already. We'll have some pulsating rhythm in that place there. And we're going to have the swinging stars there and all the different DJs and the wet fest and whatnot. So I'm urging members here of this honorable house, open invitation to everybody in Dominica listening to me right now, that come to the Roseau Valley, Trafalgar. Yeah, no. If I don't engage him, how the man gonna make money? I have to pay. I'll give him a little ease up in Cochrane, maybe, and Trafalgar. But coming back to the Roseau Valley, so for me it's critical, gentlemen and Madam Speaker and the Honorable House. The Roseau Valley is dear to my heart. They have supported us. I know you all targeted seriously last time, I realize that, but we were able to survive, and we'll survive again. That's right. We'll survive again. I know you all tried your best, but we'll survive again. But I'm still urging you all to come to the Valleyless party this weekend. You're going to have a good time, mix with the people. They're nice people, they're different people, they're nice people, but it's everybody that's there. So, Madam Speaker, with these few words, I'd like to say that I totally support the budget as presented by the Honorable Prime Minister. I think it's visionary. I think he did very, very well. I know the budget took care of every single person here. My interest in this budget is the contribution of the various growth sectors. And I mentioned tourism, agriculture, construction, whatever it is that contributes to growth. My ministry is a ministry that's going to be recording that sort of growth and making sure we push that engine. So, from the opposition point of view, and I notice the members here tonight, I must commend you. I will. I'm a fair man. You have stayed back here late with us to really debate on this budget as we wind down to 11 o'clock in this night. And this has been one of your better sessions where you're even given free time. Now and again you went overboard and you threw a few shots, but we still respected you, because we know we presented a song budget. And I must admit, in closing, that I was very, very disappointed in the leader of your party in terms of what he presented in terms of rebuttal. But I support this budget 100%. I thank you.
Madam Speaker, I move that this honorable house be adjourned until 10. Do I want to speak? Until 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. Madam Speaker, tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that this honorable house be adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow, Friday, the 29th of July at 10 a.m. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? This honorable house stands adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow, Friday, 29th July at 10 a.m.
Madam Speaker.